Good. All right, we'll call this meeting or special meeting of the Stark District Commission to order at 6:09 PM, and I will seat Goodrich and Keatsman as full members. How do you all want to handle this?
The agenda
Doesn't say anything.
says roll call, new business. Process.
Do you want to get answers to the legal questions first, and then we can talk about the process?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to comment on the questions? 'Cause I didn't share.
Well, have the answers that I gave you been circulated
No.
among everybody?
Okay, can I start with just one question?
I've never seen
Well,
the questions.
I
Well-
think it's an important question.
Do you want to go through the stuff first?
Sure, I just don't want to waste Rich's time. That's why I think my question is. So, Rich, what capacity are you here in, out of curiosity?
I'm sorry,
What capacity are you
as an
here
attorney,
as what type of attorney?
the town's attorney. What do you mean, what type of attorney?
Well, so that's my question. So are you familiar with a FOI case that's going on from Bruce McDermott?
No,
Okay, so do you know who Christy Kelly is?
what I think I'd like to do is answer
Does-
the questions for the Historic District Commission. That's
Yeah,
what I'm here
it doesn't
for.
have anything to do with.
Yeah, it kind of
I'm
does.
not, I'm
'Cause
not here to
there's-
argue.
No. The only reason I'm asking, because Christy Kelly says he's not the town attorney and I'm moving paper to the FOI commission. So I don't want to waste his time if he's not
You
the
you
town
guys want
attorney.
to waste my time, or do you want to move on to something else?
Okay, it's just a question.
Noted.
What's your
Okay.
record there?
Thanks.
Moving on.
So can I just ask, did you send him questions?
Yeah, so I sent him questions based upon our discussion at the previous.
This meeting, your meeting starts at 7. Oh. Oh,
I think they're okay.
okay.
Sorry.
We just wanted you to remember that it is the next meeting.
Okay.
To turn the mic on that you put in the center.
All right, well, we switched it to that one. And I turned that one on because the one, that's the one the recording secretary prefers. So she will text me if she's having
So she.
audio issues. Yeah, she's logged in. Okay. Thank you for your help.
I just assumed it was like.
She's from the audio department and
Okay, my
they're
apologies.
monitoring and checking systems and things like that.
I thought it was like the guy who walked in with me who saw
Yeah.
the 6 o'clock.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So you all had suggested a list of questions that I put together
Mhm.
based upon those comments. I circled them to Rich. Rich responded with some questions. I responded again to him, and then he was going to look into some answers on the rest of it. So you would revise the questions a little bit, so it might be better if you just kind of walk through them and your understanding of what the questions
Well,
were.
I mean, overall, the questions were somewhat similar. And they raised two basic issues, one being management of staff and the legal use of municipal funds for purposes of enforcement. Like, who does the enforcing? How do you accomplish it? And the other had to do with how do you find, how do you render decisions that one would consider to be enforceable and not vague or ambiguous? So the second part of that, well, the first part of it's a resource question that involves a town manager and use of public resources.
Do we have these questions that we can read? I don't have a copy of.
It was more of a dialogue. And that
Okay.
was a set of questions, so.
Okay,
And the second set is more, legal, but really it's a question of how you manage your decision making. And there were a couple of specific questions, like one was the phrase "wiggle room" was used, and what does an applicant, what do you do when an applicant tries to take advantage of an ambiguity or a vagueness? And the problem is that when a lawyer goes to enforce something like that in court, they're looking for something specific. So take, for example, one case that you have with Bank and Brew. I'm going to talk generally about it because if you're thinking about enforcing it, usually we discuss things like that in executive session. So I'm going to talk about it generally, so I'm not exposing weaknesses or strengths. But you have an application that was filed asking for enumerating several things that it was asking for. It did not ask for anything having to do with a fence. It's not in the application itself. The cover sheet says something, it lists things, but it does not say anything about a fence. You then look at the plans and you see a cutout for a fence there, and you may be thinking that you're granting a certificate of appropriateness for a fence. But the decision just says approved as submitted with a couple of modifications, none of which talk about a fence. So the question becomes, how do I enforce? How does the lawyer enforce a certificate of appropriateness that doesn't reference the fence except for a cutout? Wasn't asked for. What do we do? How do you persuade a judge that there's a violation of your certificate? So was there a certificate issued for the fence or wasn't there? So what are we enforcing? Becomes the question. Are we enforcing the lack of a certificate of appropriateness for a fence, or are we enforcing a cutout?
So can we jump into that then? So when an applicant comes with a application, if they don't delineate everything, but it's included in a set of attached plans, the plans don't trump the application?
What do you mean Trump?
Or
What
is?
are they asking you for is what the application submits. So say they come up with a bunch of plans with roofs and eaves, and they say, this shows the door, I want approval for a door. You approve the application as submitted. Going no further. Have you approved everything, including the roofs and the eaves, and the window dressings?
We were under the impression, under our impression from your comments to, I think you, that we were. That goes back to the Pizzetta thing, that when we accepted a set of photos, we bought it as accepted. The whole thing. So that's not the
Yeah.
case.
I mean, I remember a discussion about photos. If you motion to approve what, and there's a bunch of photos, what was approved?
Under our understanding from you was that it was everything in the photo.
It actually is my understanding.
It might have
Sorry.
been, because you didn't specify what it was. I mean, what I'm driving at is you've got to be specific in your decision making. And I sent Eric a copy of something that the planning staff does for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Approved with the following, the following is approved, plans dated such and such for such and such. With the following conditions, the fence shall be as provided by the cutout, and so on. Or if there's giving you repetitive plans, like one set of plans, and they come in with a revised plan on the second day, make sure you approve those plans. But you've got to pay attention to the application and see what they exactly applied for, because that's the scope of your review. They're not just throwing plans at you and saying approve everything on the plans, unless that's what
So
they're doing.
If someone comes for something general, like, and they file an application for additions and remodeling or something,
Mhm.
we have to we should specifically say per the approved plans.
Per the approved plans, dated such and such, prepared by so and so.
Okay,
Can I ask a specific question? Because that's
Yeah.
where I'm confused. And if I'm being too exact, tell me to be a little more general. So with Pizzetta, where I said there was unapproved work, it was actually not Tom, it was John Burt that said, that you said, since it was in the photos, we approved the whole thing. And if I'm understanding you correctly, now you're saying just because it was in the plans, that's
No,
not
you- you-
enforceable.
you're-
So hang on,
You're
let me please.
you're misunderstanding what I.
Okay, that's what I want to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, when you say there's photographs and the photographs are what we approved or we didn't approve, I have to go to court and identify through the photographs to the court what was approved and what wasn't approved in order for me to enforce against it. You were asking me whether I thought that I could enforce a set of photographs and distinguish between what you think you approved and what you think you didn't approve. Impossible for me to do that.
So if I may,
So the problem with the decision is that it was a weak decision in the sense that the administrative record, the record that would show what you're doing, is not clear.
but he only asked for 3 or 4 things, then I brought the 8 other things that weren't.
Then the only things he asked for would have been what was approved.
So I can go back and ask that this additional work be approved now when I was told it couldn't.
It depends upon how you phrase the approval. I haven't seen it.
Okay. Would it be okay if we send it to you so you can look at it?
Yeah, I'm happy to
Thank
look at
you.
something. It's a question of specificity, and when I walk into a courtroom, I have a defendant there, and the defendant's lawyer is going to say, what did you approve? And I have to be able to say specifically, this is what was approved. In this manner, with this design, with this makeup of materials, it was only this and that's it. And that's where the rub is, and that's what we're trying to enforce against. If I were to say, if the judge is looking through plans and going like this, he's gonna say, what's the decision? What's the violation?
So then using that banking bridge as an example, does that mean that it wasn't approved? I mean, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting.
Well, I mean, I went through your minutes. Bank and Brew. And I have a comment from the commission itself.
I think it's a good, I'm not picking.
Where
on
you,
banking.
I think you admit in your minutes that you weren't quite sure what you approved. So,
At a later date or at the date of the approval?
later date.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me as your lawyer to go into court and say, Judge, this is what they decided, when you yourselves aren't quite sure, and it shows up in your minutes.
But I think,
Go ahead. Hey,
no, I just
No,
think.
I don't think it's unreasonable if it showed up in the minutes that we weren't sure what we approved, because some of the people that were on the commission weren't on the commission when the approval was made. So I don't know if that,
All I can tell you is that when I say you should, when you make a recommendation with the way you keep your minutes, the FOI only requires you to provide the votes and who voted on what and approved and denied, nothing else. The more you put in your minutes, like, we're not quite sure what was approved, what wasn't approved, is a statement against your interest when you go into court. So I'm an advocate of de minimis minutes in terms of content. Yes,
I have a
John.
more specific question. So, and you've seen the file, so if I'm incorrect, and again, if I'm being too specific, stop me. So you said the fence was never part of the application.
I didn't say that.
No, that's what I'm asking. Was it
Okay.
part of the
You
application?
did say that.
I said,
You
I
opened
said,
the
the
discussion.
question I said, was it part of the application? Was it part of the approval or wasn't? It wasn't in the application.
so the
The specific application.
the submittals aren't, when they're stamped, they don't become part of the
Yeah,
application.
that's why I'm.
Well,
totally lost right now.
I mean, the application was for. This is the first permit.
What was the date?
2302. Conversion of an existing bank building to a restaurant. Specific outside changes, outdoor seating. Building mounted sign, consolidation of freestanding signs, hood and vent system, handicap ramp and access door. That was what it was applied for. What was approved was certificate is issued, application approved with stipulations. Letter signed to be affixed to the building without brackets, and the rear door egress and handicap access was not approved. Where do I find that a sign was, a fence was approved or disapproved?
I think there's an answer.
Okay.
There's a different way to look at it.
So,
So we
all right,
gotta take it
I'm asking myself, am I enforcing a violation because there's a fence without a certificate of appropriateness? Or am I enforcing a decision that the fence has to be a certain way? In other words, a violation of the certificate itself. So is there a certificate for the fence or isn't there? And it's just not clear from, because you're taking the position that the fence is part of the permit.
Was there a second application by the bank? and
There
Brew?
was, but it didn't reference a sign.
Did not.
Didn't
The
reference-
second
I'm sorry, it didn't reference a fence.
didn't re-
The
so-
second application was specific to the HVAC equipment only,
Okay.
and it was
No, I-
considered a modification
Okay,
of the
and-
first,
and I'm-
the first
And
application.
I'm also aware that there's a zoning permit with respect that imposed the condition of a fence at about 4 feet, was it?
3 feet.
3 feet, okay.
Okay, can we shift gears for a second? This is
Wait,
just, oh, go ahead.
I'm still just trying to wrap my head around this. So if we want the specifics of an attachment to be included in the approval, we need to reference the specific set of plans in the approval.
Well, in this particular case, say back up to where you're sitting with the applicant in front of you. and
No,
you're
I
looking
think,
at-
I think the question is to all cases. If someone comes in with a set of plans,
I'm trying to answer, okay. When you see a cutout of a fence, you should ask the applicant, are you asking us to approve this too? Because it's not applied for in the application itself, or are we ignoring the fence? So each and every application has to be dealt with specifically and carefully.
Okay, you didn't answer my question though. What I'm saying to you is that if we want the details to be included in an approval, are we saying it has to be subject to the detail or not?
I guess I'm not following your question. In other words, you've got an application that asks for.
Any application where people come in with it, with attachments,
For
details,
what?
plan, anything, I don't care what it is, anything, and it's
Any
specifically
specific or general?
any application period that includes either a detail, a copy of manufacturer specifications, a
Okay.
full plan set, like from Peter, from Ed.
So,
from
so
Ed, it's-
everything on the plan is what is the subject of the application. They want to do everything on the plans. That's what the
Uh,
application says?
Yeah, let's assume that everything in that is on the plan.
So-
In other words, the application says, I'm applying for a certificate of appropriateness to perform construction work in compliance with all the plans submitted here, each and every detail.
Or just say it says like remodels and renovations or whatever, and then they include the plan set. We're going off the plan set. Or is the approval only valid if the plan set is referenced in the approval? Because what I'm using this as
The
an example.
you are going to enforce the plans.
Well, what I'm asking is here, so they came in and they said they wanted to do, can I see that? I think this is a good example because this is where.
Yeah, so maybe even use a hypothetical. You want to use a hypothetical?
No, I think use a specific
Okay.
one. So they came in,
The application's on the back of toward the back.
It's on the back of the,
so they said
See what-
conversion of existing bank office building of a restaurant with accessory brewery use, specific outdoor changes, outdoor seating with landscaping and hardscape. Building mounted sign, consolidation signs and hood and vent, and then the handicap ramp and whatever. So when they then put this set of plans in the file, we
Plans are
accepted it,
here. I've got the plans.
right? And we accepted it.
Yeah, you approved what they applied for.
So it becomes down to this landscaping and hardscape, whether it's interpreted as including that or not.
As what's included in the landscape or
fence.
hardscape.
Cause like, here's my
Well,
big
I'm
thing is
assuming a fence is not part of a ground
landscaping.
landscaping.
Yeah, I got the feeling we thought the fence was in the package because that's how it's customarily done.
You may have
I know,
thought that.
but it's,
yeah.
so the question is, was it or wasn't it?
but aren't
Well,
they
the
typically
question-
regulated separately, fences?
The question, the answer is it in writing and clear that you approve the fence?
The way I've understood it,
And the defendant is going to say, I didn't ask for it.
But then it's,
So I'm
he's got
not-
a
so-
different problem,
so-
then, doesn't he?
That's
Well, he's got a fence that-
Then he's got an
so what-
illegal fence
so
that
what-
we've always
So
been.
what am I enforcing? Am I enforcing a certificate of appropriateness?
No.
I'm a-
So what- I thought
Hold on,
that illegal
hold on,
fence-
hold on, just
Okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
give me 1 second, and then, so what I'm
That's
trying to.
No,
Excited.
that's,
It doesn't work. It doesn't
I mean, I
work.
looked at all the videos and the applications too, and I just was under the impression that we
But it doesn't
approved
work with
that
anything.
fence. But
So,
we were saying we weren't clear about approving the fence, is what I'm
no,
hearing.
I think the problem is what he's saying is that 90% of the stuff that we approve isn't actually technically approved.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand
Well,
too.
because the
Okay,
application usually says a general description so the public can know if they want to come or not, like
Right.
modifications to their patio or something, right?
can I
Right,
just use a hypothetical for
sure.
my own?
Yeah.
Is that okay, Rich? Can we just walk through a
It's fine,
hypothetical?
John.
All right. So let's say tomorrow I win the lottery, I buy a building in Mystic and I want to start a restaurant.
Mhm.
And I come and I say, I want permission for a sign. And I want permission for some new windows
Mhm.
and a new door. But I submit a set of plans that has fences and all type of other stuff.
Mhm.
And these guys go, hey, John, you can have your sign, you can have your new door, and you can have your windows. Is what's only approved those three things I delineated or everything in the plan set?
When you say what was approved, what does the approval language say?
So if,
In
again,
other words, are you just saying approved as submitted?
okay,
I don't know who
Would
writes,
you get a lot?
I don't know who
That's the
writes up the
endeavor.
approval.
so that's my next question.
you-
So
you-
if we
you-
write
What I'm
approved,
talking about is policing your decision making.
right, that's why I want to be clear, so I understand. So if we write approved as submitted
Application for the following is approved would be the perfect answer,
and the delineate specifically what's approved.
according to the plan stated such and such. So the three items on the, you could summarize it by saying the three items.
But even better would be to
approved.
list it out so there's no
Would be
confusion.
better, yeah.
Perfect, okay.
plan, according to the plans as submitted dated such and such and prepared and signed by so-and-so. That way, the attorney, if you go to enforce it, has a set of tools. He can just say, look, this is specifically what they said. Here's the plans. Here are the pictures. It's not in compliance. And we need an injunction. If it's vague, if it's not going to be clear to a court, and if we have the burden of proof of proving that it's clear, if it's not clear, the court's going to say, come back another day.
So then,
Because you're asking for an injunction, you're asking for fines, you're asking for attorney's fees. I'm not going to award them to you unless you show me some clarity.
so then are we coming to the conclusion that this fence was never approved?
I'm not reaching any conclusion on the record.
Hey, Tom.
Can we
I'm
go,
on receipt up
can
here,
we
yeah.
just go,
I'm sorry, what?
can we go into an executive session just to get an
Not
answer?
for a special meeting, no.
Not during the special meeting.
I mean, I think, in my opinion, the answer is kind of. clear.
I'll work through staff with it. That's what you want. That would be the better way to do it. But again, there's a permit for a fence issued by the zoning commission.
But
And
not
that-
the Historic District Commission, right?
the zoning commission's decision seems to be pretty specific. So,
With the zoning commission,
it may be that I would prefer to enforce that than to worry about the ambiguity in your decision making.
but you're not saying you're not saying it's
That's, I'll need
ambiguous.
that back.
You're not saying it's ambiguous. You're saying we never made a decision.
There's no
Well, that's
ambiguity.
just one, he's saying that's one interpretation.
Yeah.
So I think we're just
I'm-
being careful because we're not in executive session.
All right, if
I don't
understand-
really, look, we're not gonna go after him, so who cares? So,
Well, I know, but I'm just trying to get it
Sure
clear.
about
From a process point of view. I'm sorry, my feeling has been that when we're saying approved or submitted. We're
Yeah.
thinking that all the drawings, like the
I
fence is on the drawing, so
completely
therefore
agree.
that was
Yeah.
what we thought we were approving.
I completely agree.
But maybe we weren't strong enough we didn't have enough clarity with how we phrased all that, but that's what I thought we were doing. So it's saying if we're not really clear, what I'm hearing, is that if we're not really clear, then it becomes kind of vague and it becomes hard to enforce in the court because we weren't clear enough.
Yeah, like me when it's presented to me, but even more so when you present it to a judge, the judge knows nothing about the
Yeah,
decision. They're
right,
starting from scratch. And the first
Yes.
thing they go is what was applied for?
Right,
Second, what's the language of the decision? Okay, and the first question I asked when I had this was, where's the fence?
right. So what I'm thinking is we have a choice to say that we think the fence was in there, and you're gonna say that's a weak case because it's not so clear. Because that's what I thought was happening, or the fence isn't in there because nobody clearly said the fence is in, therefore it's out. Now we have a choice of saying, hey, you built a fence without.
Now, some
without
some violations are stark, like 8 Pearl Street. There's a fence without a certificate of appropriateness. It's gonna come down. Okay, I don't have to worry about ambiguities in decision-making and language. I can show a picture of a fence, there's no certificate,
Right,
that's the end of the evidence. It's gotta come down. And I understand it is coming down.
but these guys, I mean, I think it would be clear to me if we said you got a fence without a thing, they'll point to the cutout and say that's our thing.
Mhm.
Or that's our, we do have approval for the fence.
They might, and then they'll throw your minutes at you to say, well, we weren't quite sure what.
Oh, well, that's not, yeah, that's a side problem, but. So those are the kind of two choices we have, right? The fence was never formally approved, or the fence is approved, but we don't like how
Again,
they installed it,
again,
is that
I'm
right?
Still talking hypothetically, I don't wanna
Yeah, sure.
educate my opponent if it comes
Right.
down to it. Also, I want to
Right.
educate anybody else. I mean, keep in mind that the applicants that are sophisticated will take advantage of ambiguities.
Sure.
They want them.
This isn't common. That's the thing. It's just, there's a couple scenarios that have caused a lot of turmoil internally too, on what to do in both directions. So I think that's what we're just trying to get an answer. It just happens to be that this is a good example of how to get an answer. But
Well, I'm sorry. You have more questions, right? Because I have a couple more too.
no, you can ask, because I don't, that was,
I think we've covered a lot of your questions in this.
Well, here's another one I'm really keen on though, Rich or Tom and Tim. Is that like I don't want to take this case particular, say they say a 3-foot fence, because it's in the drawings and we're assuming it's a 3-foot fence. how close does it have to be to 3 feet before it's a problem?
Your wiggle
And
room.
who decides that?
Your wiggle room.
And who
Well,
decides?
it's gotta be 3 feet, measured from where? I mean, usually the cutout would say measured from grade, right? I don't,
Well, no,
Yeah,
a lot of times it's
typically,
specified
yeah.
by the fence.
No, they're very rarely.
I mean, if it's
Very-
2 feet, 11 and a half inches, or 3 feet and a quarter inch. In some locations, I'm not gonna take it to court.
Right. Well, then how big does that have to be? I mean,
Well,
and then what's meant by, we've had a lot of discussion about when you say 3-foot fence or 6-foot fence, you're actually maybe talking about. Manufactured fence dimensions versus height above grade is a different piece.
I mean, if it's 3 feet, 1 inch all the way across its, its measured span, it's a violation. And the question is, do you want me to enforce it? And, the question becomes for
Well,
Joe.
no, I'm getting, even before you enforce it, somebody in the town goes and looks at it, I think, right, to sign off that it's all done. And personally, my feeling is they ought to have some latitude on 3 feet, 3-foot one's close enough. There's tolerances in construction. But I'm looking for you to say, is that reasonable or? Or if we take them to court, I think we'll lose because their tolerances, the opponent guy will say, nobody can build stuff to exactly 3
In a
feet.
past life, I was a news writer and I was attending a court and the judge, it was an issue in equity and he was asking questions, but they weren't legal questions, they were equitable questions. And I asked him, a similar question. I said, well, did they do something wrong? What did they do wrong? And he said, wasn't asked that question. He said, if a police officer is, if somebody's speeding down the highway at 80 miles an hour, have they committed a crime? Well, not until they're arrested, tried and convicted.
Oh,
Okay. So in other words, if there's a wiggle room, if there's a measure of variance between what, you expect and what you'll tolerate, it's not gonna get to me. I'm not gonna establish it because you're gonna tell staff, well, let it go. Or staff is gonna let it go because they understand that's variance or the tolerance you allow.
So
Okay, it's gonna come to me only when, maybe it's 5'7" instead of 3 feet. You guys say that's enough, that's too much out of tolerance from what we're
Okay.
accepting.
I understand.
I will look at the papers and I'll say, okay, I can enforce it, so I'll look at the photos.
So if we want finite, we need to specify finite dimensions.
in
Yeah.
the decision making.
If you say specifically as shown on the plan. The plan's submitted date such and such, I can work with that.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, you
I mean,
don't,
using fences as an example, like normally we're not out there measuring. The only reason that thing got measured was because the neighbor raised an issue over it continuously. So for us, like,
mhm.
I think we've, at least as long as I've been on it, there's never been a problem with us ever saying staff didn't interpret it because it varies. I mean, there's an understanding that a fence is gonna go with the flow. It has to, we can't. You're not gonna sit there and,
Well,
laser
a
it.
lot of enforcement actions are the result of complaints. A lot of people and a lot of commissions just say, well, we'll let that fly. It's within our acceptable
Yeah.
tolerance. Until you get a neighbor who complains and shows up every day.
Okay.
At your meeting, keeps haranguing, then maybe, you do something. But again, that's a resource issue. It's not really a legal issue. I'm looking at it, is there a violation or isn't there a violation? And I'm just asking you to give me the tools that I need to be able to enforce against violations, which is clarity, reasonable clarity in your decision making.
okay, so I'm taking from it that we need to be more clear about if there's areas that we have specific concerns, we need to be more clear about conveying that from the attachments or the plans to the actual.
Well, and I kind of think it's what we've talked about. I think I've said this, I think our file should be if 100 years from now, somebody pulls the file, they should be able to understand without a question what we've done. And in my personal opinion, you guys made it clear, I think sometimes we want to be the good guys too much. And okay, take care of that. And then it comes back to bite us. I think the other thing that's bitten us is unhappy neighbors, which I don't know where we're at with this whole sign thing. I know it's kind of something we're trying. But I think putting it into our handbook where neighbors are informed. So if they're gonna complain, let them complain up front when we can hash it out rather than, oh, now I'm past my 15 days. Now this is wrong. And I really think looking at us, that's one is a rule failure we have to change. Letting the neighbors know is we just have to, I know I've said it, some of you guys disagree. The house has been there for 150 years. Another 2 weeks ain't gonna kill anybody. And I think we just need to be that much more careful and delineate.
But I think to your point, though, is if you're supposed to look at a file 100 years from now and there's a copy of a set of plans in there, you should be able to understand that what the plans are is what was supposed to be built. What we're actually finding out is it doesn't matter.
Right, and that's where I was confused, because we've, in my opinion, two different answers on that situation.
Right. So I think we've all, does everyone agree with that conclusion? Or is everyone okay with it?
What's the conclusion?
That if we don't specifically reference the plan set in the approval, the plan set is sort of just in there, but it's not really a defining document. It's the approval that's the defining document. Is that correct?
Well, you're incorporating the plans into the approval,
If we
Okay,
say so.
if you say so, and you should say so. But just be sure what it is you're approving. And so if, in other words, again, if you go back and, you're turning the pages while there's a public hearing going on and you see a fence, you're looking at the application doesn't ask for a fence, and you say, what is this? Are you asking us to include this in the approval? And if they say yes, then you add that to your approval language. Because that's not what they applied for.
So if you
Okay,
have an
and-
application in front of you and it lists windows, doors, steps, etc., and you make a motion to approve those, and there's other things that are on there that are not in that list on that application, you should specifically reference those if you expect them to be part of the approval, or if you're expecting them to be included in the overall approval of that plan.
I think that's a totally unreasonable standard. I mean,
Well, he explained why,
I
explained
realize
why
that,
you
but there's
need
no
to
way,
do that.
there's no way that you can sit and delineate verbally everything that's in the plan.
Well, the
I mean, the whole idea
applicant,
is that the plan is incorporated into the approval.
It
As
is.
far as I'm concerned, if
If
it's
we,
in the plan, it's approved.
if we incorporate.
We need to
Well, what do
say
you mean?
that.
You-
is what
Well,
it
the
sounds.
plans are an exhibit. That's one of the exhibits from the hearing. They're in,
That's the confusion.
they're there. In my opinion, they're
That's what
there.
This meeting is.
but if the
confused me
but
about.
if the applicant has, when they applied, has only applied for some specific items
Shown on the plan.
shown that are included on that plan,
Right.
is everything else on that plan included?
But you're saying.
My answer would be
you're
no.
saying The
Right.
exact opposite, though, of what Tom told us
Well, I don't,
a couple months ago.
Yeah, I was probably wrong. I mean, I had.
I'm not throwing you under the
No, I
bus. I'm
didn't.
just trying to get
Yeah.
it. I want to just.
But that means then that if you submit a set of plans, you shouldn't make an application for anything except for the plans. In other words, when you make a description, you don't list everything you're doing.
You should almost say per the plans.
Yeah,
You just, I'm
yes.
making an application per the plans and not saying anything more.
per plan,
Per plan dated
and
on-
specific,
dated,
dated,
verified.
drawn by, address, blah, 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 the whole thing.
So you,
So-
so
But
you,
don't
on the
try to spec-
application.
but don't try to specify anything.
you would say all,
Specify
all,
anything,
you
you
would
will miss
say,
out on.
you would say all exterior,
It's tough because
improvements.
we don't make the.
Well, but again, you need a decision. Are you just gonna say plans approved?
So again, it's just
Wait,
all,
wait,
Because
so
again,
that-
what does the
if-
application
If
say?
the applicant comes in and says, I'm just gonna say additions and remodeling. Period, and they put the plans, we review the plans, and we're comfortable with the plans
Mhm.
in its entirety, and we say approved based on the plans dated.
Okay.
January 2nd, 2024.
Okay, all applied for renovations are,
Yeah.
are to be
It's
to
when
be
you,
done,
when you
to
do
be
that,
done in accordance with the plans.
because
But-
then when you do that, and I go out for an inspection and I'll see, okay, these are the plans that were granted, this was approved, all the plans, then I can go out
Right, right.
and go for it, for this other one that we're talking about, didn't say that. And I was only asked to go out to measure one thing, so I didn't have anything to go by, it said fence must be exactly 3 feet, it was just measurement. It's under 3 feet, it's good to go.
I think the issue with that specifically, it wasn't just the height, but it was also like. The style, like it wasn't, but what I'm just trying to understand more is how to get these things written so that there isn't an issue. Only because I think of like. To go with your point, which is. Like when we did the standard, I mean, if I had to list out everything, that document would have been.
That's why you
50
approve it as
pages.
per the
You couldn't do
plans.
it.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it.
Couldn't
Right.
actually.
That's why you do as per the plans.
But
dated
the problem
correctly.
that you're,
Then
now you're
fix it.
stepping in, you're going down another rabbit hole, because now if someone comes in with hand-drawn plans.
Mhm.
That are not detailed by an architect or an engineer or whatever. And you reference the plans. Then the plans will not be specific enough, possibly with regard to everything you're gonna do. So now you got the opposite problem.
And
I mean,
take
my
that
personal
different
opinion
tack
is
with that
this is a lot
particular
of,
plan.
this is like getting way. Way beyond what we should be doing as a commission. That's my personal opinion. I don't see that there's been anything going on for the last 30 years that has been so egregious or out of control that it's caused to try to set ourselves down to a standards that half the people who come in here won't be able to meet in terms of the quality or comprehensiveness of their plans. And so you're not gonna accomplish anything, except in those cases where you have an architect draw a plan.
But I think what we're trying to do is just that there are specific times or examples where we really want to make sure that it is rigid. We know how to make it rigid,
Right.
I think
It's-
we're
it's-
comfortable.
It's the action on you guys'
Right.
end.
but we're comfortable with 30 years of
Right.
what's happened, with the exception of two things.
Yeah.
It's not like, no offense, but it's not like we're calling you in here every week to say, oh, we don't like this, we don't like this, we don't like this, we don't like. This never happened.
So I just want to be crystal clear. So I come with a set of plans and the commission says plans is approved, everything's approved.
Right.
I come with a set of plans, but I only ask for two things. The commission approves those two things. So everything else in the plan is not approved.
That is.
Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, a good
Okay.
example is for this one, when I was looking for the history of it and going through the files, and I'm looking for a fence approval, and I'm looking here, I'm like, there's no fence. Approval. I don't know which plans I'm looking at. I'm thinking I'm missing a set of plans or an application that was maybe somewhere else. There's nothing on here that says that, and then we found out, well, there is a picture of a fence on here, like that must be it, because there's nothing that says fence on here.
Which I think gets to our point of we didn't know what
So,
we approved.
Yeah, I mean, forget 100 years from now, 3 years.
Right.
It took to get lost.
So Eric, if it's okay, I had a general question for my own education. Very 30,000 foot view. Can you guys walk me through how you do your approvals? If there's a, we ask for enforcement action, who guides you? Just like quick 5-minute synopsis, so I understand that.
Yeah, no more than 5, because there's
Yeah,
another
real
question.
simple. Whenever someone's done, they call for an inspection, before, whenever we had full staff. If something was in the HDC and Seamus was going out, I would go out first or with him and look at a set of plans. There was one on Noank Road. They were finished. I was up on the hill. The windows weren't the same. You approved 2/2, and it was 1/1. I'm like, that's not exactly what was on here, and it was approved by the plan, so they came back and asked for that modification. That's it.
And if there's a disagreement, do you go to him first? Well, what's the?
Yeah, we would say, like, this isn't exactly right. It's the same kind of window, same opening, same size, but it's 2/2 instead of 1/1. What do you think?
Okay.
We'll go back.
And then if it comes.
I
to the-
think I did that because it was Pete at the time. So
Right.
this isn't
And then if it comes
like,
to
oh,
the
just take
commission,
that.
where does it go then? Do you rely on us? Do you rely
Yeah, it's yours.
on the town attorney, on the town manager? Where's the next step after that?
It's you. It comes to you for review and you either approve it or deny it or make a modify.
Okay.
The fence on Gravel Street, same thing. I went out to measure it. It was approved at 6 feet. It was over. It was 6 feet, 5, 7 feet at some points. And I
Right.
told him, you can't do it. This has to be lowered. He tried to lower it. He couldn't. He had options. Take it down, try and modify it again, or come to you for an approval. And that's what he did.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You had some questions relative.
Yeah, then the one, I understand the staff, and I think they ought to have some discretion in trying to decide if something's close enough. But then I also think the legal has some discretion over, even if the guy's over by an inch on a 3-foot fence or whatever, that. It's just a case, one, is it winnable, and two, is it worth pursuing? I mean, I just presume that the town has lots of legal work to do. And so, you know, we can minimize the fence smaller and smaller, or an item that we're upset with, to say, you know, don't you get some say on the guys, this,
We do.
you might be
We
right,
do.
but this is.
We
this
might
is- You're
recommend,
technically right, but this
we
is
might
not worth our
recommend
time.
against it.
All right.
But even if you recommend against, at the end of the day, it's the commission's decision. You're
I'm
just
sorry?
offering an opinion, correct?
I'm sorry.
I said, even if you recommend against it, at the end of the day, it's just an opinion. It's the commission's decision. At the end of the day, it's that. Is that correct?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm not sure what you mean. In other words,
Who's
if
ultimate?
you're statutorily authorized to vote to bring an action.
Okay.
Okay, that doesn't mean the action is going to be brought. Doesn't mean the town's got the resources to do it. Doesn't mean that we make it, that the attorneys may think it's a worthwhile case for the town. What's ever in the best interest of the town will happen, and John Burt's got his budget and the council has its budget.
So,
So, I mean, so in other words, before an action is brought on behalf of this commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, any other commission, unless they're sued, we sit down and say, is this, what are the merits of the case? Is it winnable? Is it a worthwhile case to bring? Is a judge going to say, why are you wasting our time over half an inch? Something like that. Because there's other issues, there's other concerns that the municipality has in walking into court, which is reputation.
Well,
Bring us the good ones, bring us the big ones.
When you say the town, do you mean the municipal corporation or the town as a group of residents? What's your definition of town?
I don't think it's worth going down the road just because of the time constraints.
Okay.
My only point being is that we haven't asked for anything to be brought. We haven't asked for anything, at least since I've been on it, to be enforced. With a lawsuit, so we could table it if we have to get an answer later. It's
Okay.
just not. It's not like we're doing it, so.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just,
I know.
figure it's an educational session, trying to get educated.
I think it's a good question. If you want an answer, email it and I'll send it.
All right, sounds good.
Going back to your original point is specifics. So in our decision regarding fences, because that seems to be something that comes up a lot. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about it, leaving your window over two.
It's the third fence issue I've heard.
Yeah, but should we put in within I'm just picking a percentage, a 10% deviation?
Well,
Of
do
height
your
of 3 feet.
regulations allow you to do that?
Well, as long as it's
The only
under
thing that's
4
in there
feet.
is 4 feet in the front yards. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
4 feet exactly.
Under,
In the
under,
front,
under
more than
4
4
feet.
feet in the front.
No,
yard.
more than 4 feet.
Right,
Okay, but so it could be 311.
yeah. I'm saying for a 3-foot fence, that.
Yeah,
It's
so-
3 foot, you're going 3,
but
1,
the
2.
regulations aren't, sorry, the regulations aren't like, it's not a code. It's,
a
even the
handbook.
regulations say it's a guide. That every decision's, it goes in there and
It's a handbook. It's not even regulation.
Yeah,
Well, I,
But there's state regulations that govern us as a historic district commission that we have to be. cognizant
but
of.
they don't govern your detail like that.
No.
So I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that you just said you don't have regulations.
but we don't, and we haven't for 40 years or 60 years or however long this
Okay.
thing's been around. And I mean, I'm sure, no offense, but I'm sure there are many attorneys that have reviewed it before you, that at some point would have said, hey, guys, these aren't actually regulations. Or some of the-
I'm not saying they're not regulations,
Or
it's
some
in
of-
legal, it's in a legal meaning, but
It's
in
called a
order.
handbook, I guess.
In order for me, I mean, that has legal dimension. If you don't have regulations, it's hard for an agency to act. It would be like the planning and zoning commission not having regulations. They wouldn't be able to make decisions without them. I'm assuming your guidelines are what I would consider to be legally regulations that were somehow adopted by this board.
Yeah.
Then the question becomes, how specific are they? Do they give you the maneuvering room that you're talking about? Okay. And that's just basic administrative law. An agency has to have regulations.
I think we're saying two different things, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Do you understand? It's more your.
Just I'm asking, should we be that specific in our decision? For enforcement reasons,
Well,
within 10%.
that's really a management issue between you and staff. In other words, so if you're, in other words, by the time it comes to me, I'm gonna say, what's the violation? If it doesn't come to me at all, because it's 311 and not 4. It's fine.
Okay, then I'll turn the question.
And what do you need?
I'll
as a
ask
reg-
that.
Right, what I would
don't
need
care- I don't
is
care
is
if we have-
specifics, taking these 2 fence issues, one was lower than what was essentially shown in the plans. It was lower than
Just-
3 feet, so I
just-
said, okay, that's fine, the
Okay,
other one
sure.
was higher than 6, so
For
I
one
said
second,
that needed to be no higher than 6.
because I want to ask it because the reason, like, we're not coming to you saying, hey, that's too high, that's
Right.
too low. It's neighbors, it's whatever. So what gives you the ammunition to be able to say
Correct.
no, like?
It'd be something detailed in the approval, and if there's nothing there for the 3-foot fence, as well, it's not.
You hold up building permits or COs for it, right?
For that, I wouldn't, well, there was no fences aren't usually, I didn't know about the planning and zoning approval one for that, so. I didn't
I'm
do
actually
anything.
holding up a CO on 158 High Street right now, based on some clarity that I want from these guys. That's on my list for tonight.
But
There you go.
it's out of our purview, the fence is also part of his liquor permit, I believe, too, not our purview, but the,
That's liquor control.
right,
Can deal with
that's what I'm saying, it's,
Good look at him on the phone.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying it's more to that than just
And
that.
that may have been the reason why planning and zoning commission approved it at 3 feet. I think that was specific.
Actually, the note in the minutes from that was they thought it was a trip hazard at 2 feet.
Okay, there you go.
The liquor, only because I've applied for liquor permits, you have to have a certain height of delineation between like public and non-public.
Yep.
Right.
So I don't think you can put up a,
Right, that's
I don't remember
thought
what
with-
that is on the
with
top.
liquor license on our
Yeah.
purview, but
Yeah.
yeah.
um. What else? So,
I like Tom and I want to ask a question, but I know he's very protective of you and I don't want this
Go ahead.
question to come across. I think you know me well enough.
Yeah, yeah.
to- My only question was. We were told it was approved 3 years ago, the bank, I'm gonna be
Okay.
very specific
Yeah, yeah.
on this one. But we discussed it for another year and a half. And
Right.
I guess my question was, why weren't we told, hey, it's done, move on? Or get over it, or, I guess that's just something.
I mean, I wasn't staff to the HTC, so I don't know. I
Okay.
only reported what I did.
Okay,
And it
all
was
right,
just,
no, and again, I'm not attacking you in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. It's like a big picture question.
Mhm.
It was, we saw the piece of paper about a month ago saying it was approved like a week after
Mhm.
we met. But I guess it was just, what was so shocking to me is that we even wasted everyone's time, yours included, talking about something.
Ted, I've done a timeline of applications and everything that I was gonna go over with you guys tonight during enforcement under the regular meeting. I think it will bring some clarity. The
Please know I'm
timeline.
not attacking Tom.
No, I 100% agree. I'm just, this seems like a good time to bring this up.
Yeah.
No, that's not what that's not what I'm getting at all.
Mhm.
We've spent a lot of time trying to figure this out, and I have a timeline of some actions and applications and such that I think will bring some clarity to you guys to see where the disconnect happened and how it ended up where it ended up.
That-
It'll be, yeah.
That's a better way of wording what
Yeah.
I think maybe
I'm
then
asking. That's
the direction though for you is just in the future, if you see things that are. You know. Out of tolerance, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe more cautious than not to just ask before it gets signed off.
That's been lately my tact on it.
Let us
Yes,
just
like,
say-
well, there's just the windows, for example. That could have been something that no one would have noticed, I think.
Yeah.
I brought it back to you.
So do you guys have other ideas or suggestions for how we could do our side that make your job as staff or legal clearer, easier, more?
Yeah,
doable?
I think what Rich said is perfect for, when this is the certificate of appropriateness, right on here. Whatever it says is what I'm gonna look at. And if it says plans approved on such and such date by, Peter Springsteel,
Who
then
physically drafts your proposed decision making, or do you just do it right at the meeting?
I have no idea.
We did at the meeting, right?
Who
Right
wrote-
out.
I don't know who writes those.
No, we don't write it. It was like, if you go to a planning and zoning, usually they've written their draft
Right.
decision
Right.
and they read it
Yeah.
off.
You,
And then they
you
vote.
guys
We
do.
don't do that.
right, staff, planning and zoning staff does it before the meeting.
Yeah.
But someone,
Sue typically does them, yeah.
After.
So I mean, do
yeah.
we change our process then where they get it at the next meeting?
Well, I heard you suggest some kind of draft language that would be appropriate for a lot of things, like as stated in these approved. Certificate of appropriateness approved as articulated or delineated in the approval package drawings by Peter Springsteel dated
Why don't I
5/16.
email the chairman some
Some suggested wording so
general
that
language for each.
we can, because I think I've been operating under what's in the package is what we're approving. And so maybe some language around making that a little more clear. Without having to write out new lists, right? Just
Well,
say,
we just need to be aware of like, if it's something that we really like. that we're
Eric,
really-
if I can interrupt for a second,
Yeah.
we're starting a regular meeting in about 3 minutes.
right,
And this sounds to me like a subject that maybe the board should sit down and have a discussion on in a special meeting by themselves.
sure.
Because I think it's a subject to itself, how you guys want to handle applications, the specificity of
Yep.
approvals, the drafting of approvals. And I don't think it really can be resolved in
In
the
a
next
couple
3
minutes,
minutes. And I see the board really probably having a productive meeting if we can do another special meeting for a half hour, 45 minutes and come up with something for that.
Good suggestion, yeah.
30-second question, that's something we could
I
incorporate.
can't
into our new
recognize
handbook.
you, the chairman would.
Is that something we could incorporate into our new handbook if we wanted to, our handbook revision?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fine. Anyone else?
You have other suggestions, you guys, staff guys? You didn't,
My recommendation would be to tie compliance to a CO or a building,
I agree.
much like the other approvals are.
Yeah.
That would be a self-policing mechanism.
There's no better time to get action.
then when you're holding up the certificate of occupancy or whatever it is.
Well, they run at you.
Pardon me?
They come running to give you what you want.
But normally people are pretty good.
They are,
And like I said,
yeah.
this is a
You're
very
talking-
rare,
You're talking the 1 or 2%,
Yeah.
probably less than
If
1%.
that-
but you're-
if that, yeah.
And, it's better to tread lightly and get and accomplish it. But if you get a bad actor, like, 8 Pearl Street was an easy one. Kind of
Right.
goes up without a certificate, boom, it's gotta come down.
Most people don't deviate from the plans anyways, unless it's a physical impossibility.
But most people want to comply. Most people do.
Well, also, if you're on a building side, like from my point of view, I price off the plans. So if I don't want to build something that I didn't plan on building, it just costs more money. So most people try to follow
And
that.
they don't want to get into legal battles because they gotta pay hourly rates to
Right.
lawyers. Who wants to sign around with a lawyer?
So I had one other little thought. I don't know. Not only does, there's a piece of this, like how equipping you to go to court, how much it complies with what we had permitted. But has it ever come up how much that deviation, what the historical significance of it might be? Like it's,
That would be part of the argument.
right, that it's historically equivalent kind of
It's a
thing.
de minimis issue, but
Yeah.
it's big to the historic character. That would become part of it.
Yeah,
become
right.
part of the-
So it does come into play.
It
It's
goes to
not
the
just,
request for relief, what kind of injunctive relief?
All right.
Does it work in order that can be redone or leave it alone?
I have one last question just before you had one specific question about, is it our job to find
find
problems?
out of compliance
And you answered
properties.
that, but can you just re-answer it for them?
You can do that. I mean, don't trespass.
Oh, okay.
On somebody's property.
Right.
And you may be accused of acting on behalf of the government and searching without a warrant. So
Okay,
you want to stay away from that, but if you notice something, you can bring it up to the commission.
Sure. but that's optional. I didn't sign up.
There's
I
no
can-
obligation.
Okay.
I think it's important to recognize that you're dealing with, this whole thing is vagaries. I mean, you went to law school, I went to law school. The law is not a definitive kind of thing. There is no right answer or wrong answer in most instances. And that's what it is here. So when you start talking about exactitude and whatever, and then you're determining what the exact answer is, and then asking Rich to evaluate it from the standpoint of, is this worth bringing or not? This is all vague, subjective. A lot of it's very subjective kind of stuff, and that's as best as it's going to get.
Yeah.
And if you think you're gonna go out here and strictly enforce everything and draw these dark black lines between this and that, then you are in some kind of dream world. When an attorney general or a DA decides not to bring criminal charges against someone, that doesn't mean they might not have done something criminal, but they make a judgment decision. Is this worth prosecuting? I don't think it's any different here.
Right.
So I think all these questions about, exactly how are we gonna know how to do this? That's a lot of baloney. I mean, it isn't gonna happen, and it doesn't have to happen, in my opinion. Because I don't think it's a problem.
No,
most
but
part.
I
Well, like I
do,
said, 90% of it's having the neighbors know, so the neighbors don't fight. Most of our problems are neighbors fighting.
Yeah,
I
but
think-
neighbors are gonna fight anyway.
Yeah, but
That's my whole.
if we try and
point.
minimize
Neighbors
it,
are
it's
still
less
gonna
fighting
fight,
here.
You just recognize you're dealing in the real world, not some kind of
if we do have,
precise scientific.
if we do have better ways of writing something that we consider to be important, and we can do that, I think we should.
I'll do that.
Otherwise, I think for 99.9% of them.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, that's my point.
Like you-
But if you end up layering on another, level of bureaucracy on our decisions, I think it's a waste of time.
You hit the nail on the head, it's what they call legal opinions.
All right, adjourned. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll call this meeting of the Historic District Commission to order at 7 PM, and I will seat Goodrich and Keatsman as full members. Todd, would you read the call?
Town of Groton notice of public hearing, Historic District Commission. The Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 at 7 PM at the Groton Town Hall Annex, 134 Groton Long Point Road. And virtually via the Zoom platform to hear the following applications requesting a certificate of appropriateness. HCC 23-0035, 211 Cliff Street, Scott Berry, owner applicant, heat pump installation, PIN number 2619142276684. ACC 23-0036, 15 Elm Street, Rosemary Robinson applicant, Walter Blazer owner, sign and window replacements bin number 2619-182-06963. ACC 23-0037, 105 River Road, James Cambria applicant, Leah Hartman. Owner, window replacements pin number 2619-144-31612. ACC 23-0038, 119 River Road, Dennis Cambria. Owner applicant, chimney installation pin number 2619-144-31714. ACC 23-0039, 85 Cliff Street, Amanda Bessie. Owner applicant, exterior renovations, door, windows, lattice, pin number 2619-832-7401. A Zoom meeting link will be posted to the town's website, meetings calendar. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the Planning Department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, dated this 12th day of December 2023 at Groton, Connecticut. Todd Brady, Secretary.
Thank you. I will waive the hearing procedures. If anyone would like to read them, they are over there on the yellow sheet. And we will start with public hearings. HTC 23-0035, 211 Cliff Street. Scott Barry. On up.
Same as before.
Yeah, we'll get
Yep.
you.
Just name and address.
Okay,
please.
my name is Scott Barry. I live at 211 Cliff Street.
And Scott, would you mind putting the microphone just right? Yeah,
Like that, okay? Do it again, or are we okay?
that's good.
Just gonna walk us through it.
Okay, so we had the pre-meeting 3 weeks ago or so.
But as far as we're concerned, we've never heard any.
Okay, gotcha. All right, fair enough. Okay, so what we're trying to do is install a heat pump. On the west end of our house. What do we do it this way? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't zoom in.
Yeah, it's not zooming. So, oh,
There
wait a
it
minute,
goes.
there it goes. Might have a little battery or just not getting it. There we go.
Okay, so
Well, I'll keep going. Go ahead, you go ahead and
Okay,
start.
so
Try to get to go.
it's a Mitsubishi heat pump mounted outside on a concrete pad that will look very much like one down the street. Oh. Will look very much like this one.
You're gonna have to look at
Just
the
take a,
camera.
yep, there you go.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
All right. Gotcha. Okay.
Don't look up, just look down.
So the equipment will look very much like that with a line set running up the side of our house. The equipment will be. Here's the plot plan. We're going to put the equipment on the west gable end of the house. It's about 75 or 77 feet from the street. So it's not very visible.
What you might want to do is rather than sort of shuffle through these, if you just want to flip through them and describe what it is
Okay.
we're seeing in each
Okay.
one, and then it'll sort of guide you.
Okay.
to what you're
All right,
looking at.
cool.
Just, yeah, try to orient them towards the commission. So
Like that.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is from the front of our house looking down our street,
All right.
There you go.
way out there, okay?
All right.
This is the house downhill from us. Our two houses were built in the early 60s. The rest of the houses are late 1800s. This is the house down the street and on the other side of the street. And this is the house across the street up the hill from us. And this is on our side of the street up the hill from us. This is the front of our house, taken from the street. This is a view from the closest part of the street that shows the end of the house where the equipment will be located. This is standing where the equipment is located, looking back out toward the street with the stone wall. And here's the side of the house. The equipment will be right here. And you asked me to provide the specs of the line set, which I have provided.
The map that shows the house, you want to just mark where it's gonna go on that?
Number one there.
Oh.
It's on the picture.
You don't have that drawing.
If I just take
Absolutely, you can have-
things. Just circle it.
okay.
All the rest of these photographs are here,
Yes,
except that.
I thought that one was in the packet too, but it might be. And just for the heck of it,
I think the line set one too.
You don't have that one
Oh.
either.
that one, okay, I sent those to Susan, but,
Do you have a picture of it drawn in?
well,
That was something I thought we requested.
well, what I did do was, you guys suggested we try and hide the equipment somehow. So I can do something like that. I know not. I don't like the way that looks. It's just a fence I paint white, be almost invisible. This is a picture of a downspout, which is slightly larger than the line set part viewed from the street. So you can
That's what.
barely see it.
I think if anything, we were just asking for something in front of a condenser.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I was gonna either do that. I prefer to put a shrubbery of some
Yeah.
kind,
Sure.
but
We don't get to dictate
We
shrubbery.
don't, we don't get to.
But personally, I like shrubbery. So,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah. So I think from the street, it's pretty minimally visible.
It's pretty far back.
It's pretty far back, yeah. And for most people, the condenser will be below the height of the stone wall anyway. So,
And is that line that I'm seeing, that's where the,
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
And that's in there?
that is not. I just took that this afternoon.
There's one more for it.
Yeah. Thought it'd be good to kind of see what it would look like.
Yep. That's.
Anyone, questions, comments?
So the screening's gonna be shrubbery.
That's my preference. Yes, I'll do that.
I mean, I'll comment my feelings about this is that auxiliary equipment, is not historic, right? But it's really cool. I mean, it's great technology.
stuff, yeah.
People in the district should be able to take advantage of it. We'd like it not to be right in full view, right?
Yeah,
And we don't get to dictate on shrubbery as I just commented on, but trying to make it so it's not so visible would be really great. It's
Yeah.
hard to articulate that in too many specifics.
understand. Driving around the historic district, there's a lot of these things
There's a
out
lot.
there. And a lot of them are right out
I
in
know.
front. And that doesn't look too very good.
I understand.
I will do my
I think
darndest
yours
to
being
make it.
far back and
Yeah.
pretty shielded by the grade and the stone wall, I feel pretty comfortable with it without any additional stuff. But
Okay,
a
There-
little
there
additional
will-
stuff would probably good, but that's just my thoughts. I
Got
think other guys
Yep.
have different views on that. So I'm not trying to speak up for everybody. I'm
Yep.
just telling you.
okay.
You said it's fine.
I don't have any questions for you.
You good?
I'm very good.
Third line.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone in the audience having to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? Okay, HTC 23-0035 is closed.
Thank you.
HTC 23-0036, 15 Elm Street, Rosemary. Right,
Ryan's leaving.
just name and address.
I'm Rosemary Robinson, representing 15 Elm Street in Mystic, for Walter Glazer, who was unfortunately not able to be here. I did notice, however, on the agenda, it says window replacement, but it's actually updating or getting approval for the pre-existing mini split and our signage, which
So how do we
The-
rectify that? Just
the
have to cross it out or what?
No, I think it's just wrong on the agenda.
just on the agenda, yeah.
Okay.
It was legal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a pre-application on this, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
You guys came.
Yeah, we came in asking lots of
Yeah,
questions.
no, that's helpful.
I still probably have a lot of questions. So glad you went first.
Yeah.
Okay, so, this was here when we bought the property. Unfortunately, we cut down some of these shrubs because they were in rough shape, so that's gonna get replaced. So you won't be seeing that at all. However, this lovely, where is it? This line set right here. It is already there. I'm really sorry. And what we'd like to do is just paint it to match the rest of the building, so you really won't see it as much. And quite frankly, now that you've pointed out, it drives me nuts. So if we could just, get approval to paint it instead of having to pull it, because we actually do use that split. That one is in one of the guest rooms. It actually is one of the ones that actually still works really well. So we'd like to keep that there. I do have specs somewhere on the system if you wanted them. I did include them.
Sorry, yeah, they're in here.
Okay. And so that was the first thing. If you have any questions on that. Okay. The other was our signage. I guess we're not clear when we asked about a sign or something. We did change it. So this is the signage on the front. It was Spicer Mansion before, which was just a rectangle. And we just sort of made it a shorter rectangle with a little swirly thing. But
Sue.
Thank you.
Is
Um,
the other day I drove by and was thinking, but it wasn't there. Is that like a Photoshop, right?
no, it's there.
It's not.
Okay. You must have, was there a time it wasn't
Well,
there?
it's not doing its job if you didn't see it.
And Bill, you should keep your eyes on the road when you drive, by the way.
Yeah, which, were you looking at?
So, okay. Did
Don't
you-
go down
That's
Elm
all right.
Street when Bill's driving.
All right.
Yeah,
I was sworn it was.
it
like-
was
It was
just-
like someone took it out.
no,
Okay.
oh, gosh, I hope not. Better still be there. That would be bad.
Is it just one brick column out front there?
Yeah. No, the other
No,
one
it's-
says 15 Elm Street.
Maybe
So
you're
there's,
looking at
there's,
the wrong- Maybe I was looking at the wrong column.
there's two columns. There's one that says 15 Elm Street and then one that says Captain's Mansion. And the one that says Captain's Mansion has the little logo on it. And it's the same colors as was there before as well. Just it sort of fit in the same spot, but because we did change and put the logo on it. My bad. Sorry. Can we keep it? I really don't know.
I like it.
I mean, it's pretty.
All right, any questions? Comments? Really?
No question.
No? Anything else?
No.
Okay,
Gosh.
anyone?
We'll do that when we approve it. Should we? Don't.
Yeah, the only realistic thing is just painting the line set, but yeah. So just,
There's nothing about painting the line set in your submission, correct?
Sorry,
you're gonna paint.
There's
the
nothing
cover.
about painting the line set in
Oh,
your submission.
I'm
there's-
sorry.
Is,
But
I
just,
think I think
She
I
mentioned
asked,
that.
I
Did you
mentioned
say-
it in the notes.
you did?
oh, it's for
The
here.
paint she's gonna use, Kyle.
Yeah.
just put it in there based on tonight's discussion. So that's the only thing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yellow paint to match siding is on my materials list.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we don't know if you're painting
my
the
first-
mansion sign or the lines or the shrubbery.
I'll paint anything you want. How's that?
The brick color.
You have to be really specific about this kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, anyone in the audience have anything to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? Right, HTC 23-0036 is closed. Thanks.
Thanks.
HTC 23-0037, 105 River Road, James Cambria.
That, the applicant requested to be continued.
Does the next one continue too?
No,
No, Dennis is here.
All right.
Question, I have the question on the continuation, are they continuing the work or is the work stopped?
the work is stopped.
Okay.
The work is stopped on both the projects.
Then I will continue HCC 23-0037. HCC 23-0038, Dennis Cambria.
So because he requested it, we don't vote on it, right? Is that the idea?
Correct.
Yeah, I guess I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay, just.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hi, Dennis.
Just
Well,
name
I
and
come
name and address.
to present my project.
Just
Which,
give us your name and address
oh, sorry,
for the record.
Dennis Cambria, 119 River Road. We've lived there for 24 years and have gone through extensive renovations when we first moved into the house 23 years ago. I've always been a strong believer in maintaining the historic nature of the house. And so I come with you to present what I already started. So I come with an apology and ask for forgiveness. I have pictures of the house pre-existing condition, this one from the spring of this year. Am I on? Yeah.
Yep.
This is where we are adding a chimney chase, actually. We purchased, went through a window here, a wood burning fire box insert that came out of this, removed the window, came out of this way. And what exists from that going up the side of the building is a 20-foot piping, 10-inch piping to remove the exhaust fumes and smoke. And I did receive a permit back in February or March. And totally messed up by not applying for the Historic Commission approval. So we started the project. Beginning of summer, I developed some health problems and kind of stalled on the project until a couple of months ago. And at that point, we got and my son, James, who's doing most of the building at this point, had Mr. Brennan, I believe his name was, come to the house to inspect the piping, which is internal to the structure you're seeing. These are the 3 photos. Of what has been constructed so far. Once Mr. Brennan informed us that
Slow over a little bit there. Other way.
Other way, toward me. There you go.
You can see the wooden structure on the side of the house that was added. Internal to that is the piping. And it was my intention not to put a brick fireplace in place because it's really not a fireplace in the traditional sense that runs through the house. Being external like this, I thought it best that it blends in with the siding that was existing on the house. If you see in one of these photographs, the siding has been removed on that whole side of the house. And it was the intention to reside the cedar siding, clapboard, and go over this entire structure with the same siding up to the chimney top. The So that's where it sits right now. It's been kind of covered up, because of the weather conditions over the last month or so, of rain. So it's even more of an eyesore, but this is the internal structure of what is. This is the firebox on the bottom. This is the 10-inch stainless steel piping. And this is what Mr. Brennan was asked to come to check, was the suitability of the and safety of the piping. And that's when he suggested that we stop and proceed with the application. So that's what I have. I have gone through the district within 2 or 3 blocks and of our house, and there are multiple chimneys that have been built out the side of people's houses, but true chimneys, meaning that there's a fireplace inside the house and everything comes through the chimney itself, which is different than what I have. These are 2 examples. No. There we go. These are 2 examples of chimneys coming out the side of the house within a block of my house. Personal opinion, they stand out more than what I'm suggesting. And I've taken some internet photos to show you what is meant by a chimney chase as opposed to a regular chimney. This would be an example of a chimney chase going up the side of a building, a home, covered like that, extended to the height above the line to allow a good draft. There's another example of one in a not so great looking house. This is also an internet copy. Yeah, that's right side up. Doors are sometimes put into these only to get access to the interior for maintenance or problems that may develop. So basically, the dimensions of what is being built, it stands 3 feet away from the house. It is 5 feet wide and 3 feet here. Each side is about 62 inches across each side of the house, but it came out exactly where the window was previously. So I think that's what I have.
Any questions?
It's a beautiful place.
Well, thank you.
That property, it's really gorgeous.
Thank you. Hopefully you'll approve it, make it a little bit more beautiful. From what has been already done.
Material is here. So. That's pretty, yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
All cedar clapboard, yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Anyone in the audience having to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? All right, HCC 23-0038 is closed. Thank you.
You want these?
HCC. No, we got 23-0039 85 Cliff Street.
Thank you.
And
Can I ask about your wood stove? Is it a wood stove or is it?
Wood burning stove, yes, yeah.
It's a stove or it's a fireplace.
Well, that's,
Fireplace.
It's a 0 clearance fireplace.
it's not a wood stove.
No, it's not a wood stove, no, it's a wood firebox.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that
it's
was
pretty,
my only.
they're pretty cool. You can buy them.
Oh, no, I have I'm a wood stove advocate, so I'm just always curious what other people.
Yeah, I have an insert in my house. I love it.
Yeah.
42 inches wide and it's pretty big.
It's You can just load wood in it. It's like a normal fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the heat is amazing off of it.
Eric, can you slide your microphone in a little bit? Sue just texted me and said
Yeah.
that she's having a hard time hearing you. Thank you.
Okay, do we have 85 Cliff Street or no?
85 Cliff? I don't know.
That gentleman was here.
Anyone online? Oh, he's, or she's online.
Let's see if I can figure this out.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Big try gallery.
Gallows gonna, well, I gotta get back to, hold on.
Go to participants, click on that one.
And You, speaker, no.
Participants down the bottom.
Look on participants,
Where is it?
left,
Bottom.
Participants,
Yeah.
they're there.
go to attendees,
Attendee,
and then promote,
John,
Oh, maybe the one down, she's got her hand up.
like both do, so.
Yeah.
Might want to do the one below too.
what's that?
Do
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
too.
That's- John and Amanda, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear us?
So it sounds like you have two.
Yeah, one of you.
Yep, shut that one off. All right, good evening, everyone. Now, I know that because of the
Yep.
postponement of the meeting back on the 19th of December, we are currently out of town, but I know that Susan Choquette had delivered the presentation to you in advance. Does anybody of the members have that in your possession?
Yes, but you still need to just, can you share? Are you asking us to look at it or are you gonna share it?
We can't hear you.
Are you asking us to look at it or are you gonna share it?
Can you hear me?
Are you asking us to look at it or are you going to share the
Can anybody hear
presentation?
me?
Have you
We
muted?
can hear you. Can you hear us? I'm on the phone, Mandy, as well. Can anybody hear us?
He must have muted himself.
They can hear us. We just can't hear you.
I think it's that microphone.
Which one?
I don't know.
So have you received the presentation in advance? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Hold on, let me dial back in, okay? I'm gonna dial in by phone because I can't hear you.
This is 85 Cliff Street.
Yeah.
Probably that was.
No.
I guess not.
That's John, that's you.
So Sue is on and she said she can hear all of us.
So
You can
it's
hear
on
us.
his end.
Yeah, it must be on his end.
Yep. Has he got us muted?
Yeah.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You have joined the meeting as an attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting.
All right, unmute him, allow him to talk. Try it now,
Can you unmute him? Click.
down here.
Yeah.
So you gotta,
Ask to
Yeah.
unmute.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Ask to unmute.
You can press.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
you gotta unmute the call, the dial in.
This one?
Yeah, that's him. No, hit click, go get out of that.
Huh?
Just get out of that. Click on it again.
Click on this one?
Or right there, ask to unmute. I know, you said you're
Not doing anything.
Okay.
What's this move?
There, try that one there.
Hi.
Can you hear us now?
Nothing.
You gotta write some messages now, Bill? As your sign language.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, you can hear me when I go through the computer, but I can't hear you through the computer. I can only hear you through the phone.
Okay, just mute the phone, maybe, so it doesn't go,
But that's the only way you can hear us.
no, if he mutes his phone.
Where can we show this?
I can hear you on the computer,
You could hear us.
And we
but I can only hear you through the phone.
Well, can we proceed?
It's gonna talk back.
Oh, yeah.
You just muted yourself.
He's got it.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
So the challenge I have here is I can only hear you through my phone and you can only hear me through my computer. We can't hear each other on the same device and I get background. But
Could you,
I
can
can
you
go
wait?
through the slide presentation. Now, I know Susan Choquette had delivered the presentation in advance. I think I saw a thumbs up that you have that.
Yes.
Could you flip through those slides for me so that I can then describe each of those pictures for the team?
Taking it out there.
He's, yeah, I'm doing it.
You could, if you, what is your name and address again? Want to get
So my name is John and Amanda Vish from 85 Cliff Street.
And we gotta zoom in on the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were doing that. That's probably a little pretty close to about.
Okay, so that,
That you're gonna get on that. Yeah.
so that's just a copy of the permit.
Application.
Of the
The
application.
application. That right there is our plot plan. So this is, it's a little bit out of order, but so the scope of the project, I'll just stay as, I want to point out that we are not changing any of the existing footprint on the house. We are only making enhancements to the structure as part of a kitchen remodel. So the scope of the project covers 4 areas of the photos that I've provided. One is the kitchen, where right now we are replacing a existing vinyl clad sliding door. Or can you just go back one picture? No, yeah, so that one right there. So the very first slider that you see here, as soon as you come up the steps, that's the kitchen, and that is a vinyl clad slider. The door after that is the den, which is a steel French door that also goes out to the deck. And then beyond that French door, there is a window that is a double hung window that is part of the downstairs bathroom. So those are the 3 things that we'll be talking about, where we want to replace the slider, and we're going to replace that with a window. Casement window, exactly. The double steel door, French door, we want to replace that with a new slider. And then as far as the double hung bathroom window, we also want to replace that with a casement window that matches that of the kitchen that is on the same side of the house. The other part of the project is that we have here is in the front. You can see a very small, like a 3-foot screen that like terminates right, it starts right from the stone wall of the stairway, goes about 3 feet and then ends. We want to extend that screening all the way across so it hides the electrical box that comes down from the street, the window, and the basement door with a lattice made from cedar with a gate that would allow us to get in, but that would all be screened from the street.
You have a drawing of that?
Is that
He
it?
does.
Yes. You don't seem to have the latest presentation that was given to Susan. So let's go through. It is, but that's not the latest one.
Use this one. Or? Yeah, just show. All right, so hold on one
There
second.
we go. So that's what we talked about, the scope of the project, the kitchen, the den, right? That's the existing of what it looks like today, entering from the side of the house up onto the deck. This is what our proposal will look like, which we've already showed. And I also want to point out is that these casement windows that are here all match the casement windows that go all around the downside of the house. So they're all casements that are downstairs. And there you go. There's a side view that gives some dimensions, that gives some more symmetry to where the slider will be. And I just wanted to point out internally, right? And when we look at what we're doing for the kitchen remodel, we're replacing the slider, and you can see the cooktop is going to go there and replace with a window next to it to add more light into the kitchen area.
You don't need two sliding doors in a small span.
Those are just pictures of what the sliding door brand and what it will look like. Same thing with the casement window that will go in the kitchen and the bathroom. And that basically just states, again, the brand, the type of the window that we will be putting in. And then this addresses the front of the privacy screen. So you can see the way that it looks today, straight on and slightly from the angle. And then you can see what our artist rendering would be from what that screen would look like now from the street. So the gate would line up with the existing door that allows us to get in and out of the basement, which is used for storage, and then block up all the utilities, the window and the door from the street. And that just highlights some of the details of the materials. So the post will be 4x4 pressure treat, and then will be built out to be a 6x6 cedar post surround with caps. And then the lattice will be approximately 1.5 inches wide planks with 2-inch openings. And we'll have a swinging cedar door with high quality hinges and hardware. So that represents the project that we're proposing to the Historical Society. Any questions?
No, I don't have any. I might in a second, just, I haven't looked at it. Yes. Yes. I think he's interesting.
What's that?
That was interesting, yeah. It's old. Yeah, that's. And it,
You know when your house was built?
The original portion of the house where the kitchen is, that was built in 1848. If you go from the front door over, I don't know the exact date, but based on the construction, it was probably sometime in the 50s.
I thought the house was built when I was looking at it.
Yeah, because it looks like it was built in the 50s.
Is this? Are you adding, I can't, I'm blanking on the word,
railings?
railings?
No, we're not adding any, those railings exist there today. So that is a deck that comes out. So we're not changing anything to do with the deck structure at all.
Those are just a rendering?
Right.
Is that just a,
The reason I'm asking, because in this picture, you see this picture?
Yes.
There's white railings.
It's just change the color.
That's just the artist rendering. If you go to the actual photo of the house, you can see it matches the color of the deck that's there. But to say to repaint that railing, I mean, that's something that we didn't discuss.
No, I didn't see, I just saw white in one, in this, and gray in
Yeah.
this. That's why I
Yeah.
was asking
Is
the
the
question.
configuration of the railing the same?
And
We're not even
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
anything to the
yeah.
railing from a
It's just,
construction
it's just
point of view.
because I saw it as white and it was gray in this, so I didn't know if there was a replacement. That was,
No,
okay.
I guess you could say it could be a future repaint to match the trim of the house, but that's not part of the scope of this project.
Well, you
Okay.
can paint it
Yeah.
any color
That
you
that
want.
was my own question.
We have no jurisdiction over paint color.
All right, thank you.
Was it? Are you all set?
Nice job.
Are you all set?
Are you all set?
I am set with with what we wanted to present tonight. Is there any questions for any of the team?
No. Okay, anyone in the audience have anything to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? HTC 23-0039 is closed. Thank you. I lost my thing.
When you say close, does that mean it's approved and ready to move forward?
No, we're gonna vote on it in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to consideration of public hearings. HTC 23-0035 211 Cliff Street. This is the heat pump installation. Any comments, motions? Want to help me out?
I'll move to approve as submitted.
I'll second. Ferguson second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, aye.
Keatsman, aye.
Okay, HTC 23-0035 is approved. HTC 23-0036 15 Elm Street. This is painting the line set, adding the condenser and the sign to what's there.
I'd like to just have the record note that the sign was modified, but I approve the modification, but I think the original application was for a rectangular sign.
No, so the original approved sign isn't there anymore. That was the spicing.
That was the spicing mention.
Okay, but I thought you said you applied for a rectangle sign.
No.
Oh, you just said,
The original one was rectangle.
Okay,
So
I retract that statement.
Strike that comment.
I'll strike that comment.
do you make a motion? Sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve, yes.
Goodrich,
Alright.
second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, aye.
Keatsman, aye.
Okay, HTC 23-0036 is approved. HTC 23-0037 was continued. HTC 23-0038. This is 119 River Road. This is the chimney installation. Any comments, motions?
I have a question, actually, and it's to Tim.
Sure.
So they got a building permit for the chimney chase.
Correct.
Wouldn't town staff tell them they needed an HDC approval before you went out?
That is the process at this point. If an application comes in now and it is subject to HDC approval and there is none, the permit is put on hold until one is. This application came in last April, prior to my arrival. I don't know the submittal process by which it was taken in, assigned and approved.
Okay.
But the applicant didn't start without a building permit, so they were under the assumption they were.
Right, that's why I'm asking. I realize that. I just want to make sure we have a
This
process.
is a classic example of we live in an imperfect world.
Okay.
I wouldn't sweat it.
And if I could just add to that, when I visited the site, the contractor and the owners were apologetic. They were gracious. They absolutely said, we will stop. We will get this in front of the board. We want to do things the right way.
And I clearly recognize that. I just want to make sure in the future we minimize that on residents. That's what I was asking.
On that note, I will make a motion to approve.
I will Ferguson second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, aye.
Keatsman, aye.
If you ever need firewood, come to my house.
For free. Can't charge.
Oh, I'm charged. No, I'm for free.
I'll
HTC
be there tomorrow.
23-0038 is approved. HTC 23-0039, 85 Cliff Street. This is changing out the windows and the doors on the south side and the enclosure. around the basement. Per the included plans. Any motions
And photos.
and photos?
I make a motion, we grant a certificate of appropriateness. Brady,
Goodrich, second.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you have that one.
Keatsman, second.
All right, all in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, aye.
All right, HCC 23-0039 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have a preliminary.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can come up.
Come on up.
Gentlemen, my name is Joanne Spillane.
Peter Spillane, how you do?
This is a preliminary meeting, so I wasn't sure what to bring. I don't have. a
Just
copy
your
for you.
address.
Yes, 5 Prospect.
5 Prospect.
Yes.
All right, so I'll make a motion to add 5 Prospect Street to the agenda for pre-apps.
Goodrich, second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, aye.
Okay, go for it.
So in the information that we brought tonight, we have photos of our home, we have an architect's drawings, we have an Eagle View report. So I guess our question tonight is, what do you need to see tonight?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, it's gonna take us,
Good idea.
take us to.
Yeah, we have an extension on our home. Our home was built in,
I think 1908, the original building.
and we plan to do a renovation within the footprints of the home. We're not changing any of the.
Yeah, there's
What's the address again, please?
Sorry,
The address again?
5 Prospect.
It's a lovely street.
Yeah, it is a great place. Got lucky.
Picture.
Yeah, we have photographs and I guess perhaps,
Flip it over.
oh, thanks.
There you go.
Oh,
The area to the left is the plan to renovate. We want to take that down completely and put up something more in keeping with the craftsman.
Let me explain that we, as we understand it, there's no record. There's an addition, that slanted roof at the left of the picture was added in the 1970s, we think. I think it predated this process. And the original house stops with the hip roofs, the higher roofs.
Mhm.
The rest of the building is pretty much barely touched. Yeah, here, this. Yeah, this is actually a good picture of what we want to fix. The door there, this is from the north side of the, looking south. That door and that slanted roof are all part of the addition. There's a different, there's a cinder block base underneath it. The old house is stone and mortar. So we actually kind of like very much the hip roofs, the higher roofs that you see. We probably have more pictures of it. This might help. Yeah, there's a compressor back there.
There's another one of those chimneys.
Another one of those chimneys, yeah.
Yeah, they added that in the 1970s, we think. And you can see the cinder block
Foundation, yeah.
And there's a whole cellar dug as well. So it's, a good bit of work was done. But it's not pretty like the other parts of the house. We want to redo that addition, that with a 1970s addition, which includes yeah, basically everything's on the left half of the photograph. Just rebuild it on the same footprint, but with a roof line that's slightly higher and more like the rest of the building. Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen, let me show you this photograph. Yeah, that's the stuff on the right side is the new, you can see the cinder block base. We just want to rebuild that, not extend anything, just.
I think that's the rear of the house.
This is from the south, it's,
From the back of the house.
From the
Well,
back of the
the
house?
front entrance is actually to the left. That's
Oh, okay.
that's Prospect Street. to the
Prospect
left.
Street is
Just
on
to the left, yeah, got it, understand.
Actually, Prospect Street is on the other side of that building. So Prospect Street,
No, honey,
No, yeah,
it's up and down.
that's heading towards,
We're
rural.
at Danny's house looking at our house. Prospects in front.
okay. This is our beautiful house. This is what we want to replicate.
Yeah, this is pretty about barely touched. You can see part of the addition behind the tree there in the deck. Yeah, it has these beautiful, I mean, it's classic description of a cottage with hip roofs and open porch and many roofs. And so what we hope now, we have some drawings, renderings of what it would look like with some images from that.
This is more interior stuff.
Yeah, no, I think
Is there-
it did it.
Fine.
They do an elevation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everything.
let's see. Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, I think they're towards the back. Maybe we could, you can look. Here's one image of so this would be from the south. Prospect Street would be on the left in this, and that's the new addition, the lower roof to the right of the drawing. Here's. This is another, this would be from the,
So
from the east.
you're not changing the footprint or anything, you're just changing the roof line.
Just changing the roof line and raising it a bit. The height of that will be higher.
The walls will be extended out. In other words, the walls.
The walls are exactly the same position.
You're not
I think
raising,
they're just raised, elevated,
I think they're
well,
just-
yeah, so you're extending the walls up higher.
higher.
Well, yeah, because now your wall, is that a slope? Is there a slope in that addition
No,
there now?
because I think that's 8 feet out on the end, so all I think they're doing is just popping that roof off and just making it.
Putting a hip on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it will be a higher roof than there is now. But it will have that triangle kind of thing.
When you say higher, you mean the ridge of the hip will be higher?
Yes, yes, indeed.
But not the actual side walls.
They'll be all one elevation.
Yeah, it should, well.
Right now you have rake ends.
Well,
and they
that's,
slope.
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Right.
it slopes now, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the walls will not be higher, but the roof will be.
So the
bigger.
wall height at the end of the current slope is going to be the wall height.
The wall height, yes,
Yeah.
the roof will go higher though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the
It's
wall
both
height,
fine.
so the wall height is going to return on each side at the current height of the end right now. And then there'll be hips that come up off of that.
Just to coordinate it with the rest of the roofs.
And so the downside of the hip is gonna intersect with the actual existing house. Like this,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna come up like this and then run a ridge in.
and come down.
Yeah.
I just see that.
sure. Of course.
Thanks.
Yeah, and here, this might,
See, I think,
yeah,
Is
this,
there a section?
I think he's like. That's from the side, that's from the back,
This
so it's like
might-
creating a flat section and then coming in,
that one
it's
helps.
like with some.
Well,
sort of little cricket or
Well, yeah,
something.
that's my question, is in other words, if, here's my hip, right? But on the side that's running back to the house, is he just gonna, you think, carry his ridge straight in?
Otherwise, if he doesn't, if he puts a hip, he's gonna have a
It's gotta
catch
be-
spot
That's what I'm saying,
between
he's
the
gonna, he's
roof
gonna
line
have
and
a
the
place
house.
to catch a
Yeah.
lot of snow
Right.
if it's raining.
Yeah, that's not.
So you're probably gonna run it, he's probably gonna just run the ridge.
looks
right
like
across.
Right.
See,
Would you give that to
Yeah,
Mr. Goodman?
if he can.
Thanks, Joanne.
I think that picture right there might show you, Todd, the one he has in his hand.
Oh, no, can I actually see that one? That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There you
perfect.
go.
does that
Yeah,
help?
roof line.
So. Here's the main hip, there's the other hip, there's the other hip, but then they've created like a cricket to get the water out. So it sort of pitches back, but it's
Yeah, yeah, I see that.
kind of not a great corner, but whatever.
See this now?
The distinction is the roof height is higher on the addition.
I think it's fine, I just think it's confusing to some.
Hey, well, it's, yeah, it's a bunch of roofs.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's cool that you're gonna make it more in line with the rest of the house.
Yeah, it's a very pretty group of houses around there.
Yeah, those Craftsmans, there's like two of them, I think, or three that were built.
Yeah, we have a picture of our next door neighbor. His addition was done earlier, but is Dan Anderson?
Yeah, I live on Roland, so I'm right around the corner from you.
There's a. I think it's one of
That's
the-
the other Craftsman that was built a little farther down, and there's another one. That's like. I thought there was a Craftsman on West. That's kind of that like random key thing, like that appeared.
let's see. Yeah,
Does anyone have any questions about the windows, just considering they're not like historic per se, but the house isn't, so it doesn't. I don't know what.
Is he changing?
What type
Just
of
the
windows they
back.
putting in? I stepped outside. I missed that. I'm sorry.
Is he changing the windows
On the addition,
on the addition?
there'll be, and on the addition, there'll be windows to the east. There are none right now.
Will they match the windows that are on the house already?
Yeah, there's a mixture of windows on the house, but I would want them to be as much like the original windows.
This is our neighbor's house, which was, we believe, built by the same.
New window?
that's the front of the house, that's existing.
Yeah,
No. So there's like double hung, to answer your question, there's double hungs on the house already.
Right.
Double,
There's
The
some-
red house, right?
no, the white one, you can't really see. it.
Can't see it.
yeah, some of them are hinged on the side with a crank. There's a
Case.
mixture.
But then this is gonna be an awning, and then they're gonna swap those two out in the back. 'Cause that's existing.
How many
Sorry.
different style windows would you say there are on the house right now?
I'm sorry,
How many different style windows would you say are on the house right now?
look at this.
I mean, there's 4/1 double hung, there's a triple
I
mold
s-
unit in the front of the picture window.
Like a bay.
Yeah,
like a bay.
here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it
this
right
is-
now from
this-
side
this
street.
is the best example of the variety. That's from the south. The addition, the existing addition, you see there's door to the cellar and low roof. The roof, the addition will be on the same footprint, but the elevation will be a bit higher. The roof on the addition at its highest will be halfway, half the gap of that flat roof, appears to be a flat roof, and the hip roof.
But we're keeping, we want to make the windows as traditional as possible. so
Yeah, you
there's-
see, yeah, that's what I guess.
Is that a bay window I see on the?
Yeah, there's
That
a,
was added. in some-
yeah, sometime, I don't know when.
And what type of windows are you proposing? I'm sorry.
We're not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, it's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Well, I mean, I think the idea of doing a hip is a huge improvement. What you
Agreed.
decide to do with the windows, I think could either enhance or not the
Yeah.
final appearance of that, of the addition. Because some of the windows are. Well, because that bay window, well, that you're not changing that probably, you just leave it, right? But then you have
Yeah,
sort of a modified, this is sort of what you might call. That could be a bay window, but it isn't, but that's existing, that's there now, you're gonna leave that there?
That's in
fine.
the older part of the house, so.
yeah, that was an addition done sometime.
Right.
I don't know when.
I think the neat thing about it is it's a Craftsman, so you can kind of do what you want. That's kind of the nature of Craftsman's. So I think whatever you do, like Todd said, is either gonna enhance it or not, and it's kind of up to you how you want to make it look.
Well, we definitely want to enhance it, so.
Well, I mean,
Just haven't decided
enhance it
on-
or
yeah.
keep it
Yeah.
a little more subdued. I don't think it matters each way,
Mm.
personally.
At its best, it would look like the addition was done by the designer of the original house.
My only suggestion would be try and whatever you do with the windows, try and make it look like the main part of the house, those that they were, like you just
Yeah.
said, that the windows were done at the same time as.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any photograph of, the old, that indicates the old windows.
And you're planning to veneer over the foundation.
I'm sorry.
You're saying you're putting a stone veneer on the foundation.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to, yeah, we
Yeah,
see
'cause you've
rock.
got a
in
lot
the-
of exposed foundation. on
Yeah,
this.
indeed, and we see stones under the original house and then cinder block on the addition. It would, there. We replaced the chimney a while ago and used stones that are cut and applied to a surface to
To look
a-
like bricks.
Yeah, and I think the, no, to look
To
like
look like
stone.
stones.
You see it right there.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And I think something like that would be appropriate on the foundation too. Yeah, a lot of it is exposed. Remarkably, it's a really watertight roof he put on, whoever did that. And I admire that work of it, but it's just not. It looks like it was done in a hurry,
It looked like it was just hung onto the side of the house.
And
Well, so what you basically have to, you have to just make your final decisions about what the windows are gonna be. And siding and have drawings or specifications that detail that information. I mean, it's partly done here. It references a Marvin.
oh,
there's a
that's
Marvin
in the
double-
kitchen. There are
Yeah.
some and modern ones at the front of the house. And
I mean, there's some
What is
cool
it?
grill patterns on the,
On the old
yeah,
original,
on the
yeah.
oldest ones.
which
yeah.
we kind of need to replicate something close to it. but
I would be pleased if we could find that. I'll show you.
Marvin or Anderson can do that in their. Well, both of them can do it.
Yeah, see, they're all pretty interesting.
Western.
Modern patterns, sneezes. Wow.
On that north side.
Yeah, here you can see some of the old windows on the upper
Yeah.
level. And on the vestibule, I guess, to the right, just
Yeah.
behind the porch, really had some things that they did. But,
So we'll look into the windows. And other than that,
yeah,
when we come back, we give you the updated proposal or.
Yep. You're just gonna represent it like you never came before.
okay, great.
And we present the package before the meeting? Is that what the standard procedure is?
Yeah.
If you want to get on for the next HDC, you submit everything by this Thursday.
That's probably.
That will not happen.
Okay, I'm just,
I think everyone agrees that your concept's fine. What you want to do is fine. Just, it's a matter of just
Great.
getting specifics.
And windows will be, if we could make them more like each other, it would be a success.
Yeah, but it's probably not gonna be a do or die.
I'll see what we can do.
Wait till you find out what it's gonna cost you, then you can.
I think you can,
Some part of this is a bargain.
Yeah, right. I
you
know.
can go either way. I think you can make them simple with no buttons and make it. Just not draw attention, or you can match the patterns you have and make it look the same. It's
Yeah.
really up to you. I don't think that there's one way or the other that.
Not in this case, because what you're dealing with something that's. Not historic,
Exactly.
except for the passage of years.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's craftsman. Craftsman's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, the
They're just
house is
different,
historic,
yeah.
but the addition, I'm talking about
Yeah,
the addition.
Thank you.
So much.
I hope that was helpful.
is that, just, I'm just gonna say, was that a helpful
That
discussion?
was extremely helpful.
Very much
Thank
so,
you.
yeah, and, yeah, windows really do,
No.
say a
Where,
lot.
where's your architect from?
New Haven, Acapello and Acapello was,
Acapella or something?
yes, yeah,
And Bunton. Yeah.
right.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that's it. For pre-applications.
And these,
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you pick up, I don't know if you picked up the handout that. They have at the front, desk for making your application. It tells you everything you have to include in the application.
Yes,
Did you already get that?
we
You
have
got that,
that.
okay. Then we're supposed to have shots at the street up and down.
Yes.
Yeah, we have these.
All right.
I mean,
Thank you so
the
much.
more the better, but they're not.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Some, one of our pictures is of the Spicer Mansion, where to show you the context, but I guess you know the context.
Yeah.
pretty well, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any public,
Happy New Year.
any public communications?
Nothing, I have nothing.
Does anyone? Approval of the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes of December 5th as is. Pete'sman.
Goodman will second. All in favor?
I'm gonna abstain because I don't feel my comments were accurately reflected.
Brady, aye.
Give me 2 seconds. Sorry. Where?
Oh, where I make my comment about the town manager doesn't say what I said, so I'm abstaining. It's kind of chopped up.
Okay, then I'll say aye.
Ferguson, I.
Pete'sman, aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Old business? Do we have any? Do you want to?
I can give you, I think I can probably give you an update on everything under enforcement. I can address where I'm at with 54 West Main under old business if you want. It's up to you.
Which one's that one? Sorry.
The Bank and Brew.
Okay, do you want to at all talk about though us making? You said before in the special meeting that you want to discuss approvals, or what was it?
I recommended that you guys have another special meeting where you as a board sit and talk about how you want to draft approvals,
Okay.
motions, discussions, etc. for the purpose of clarity based on what Rich said. It seemed like at 5 minutes to 7, we were starting to go down that road. And I thought that would probably be an extensive discussion and maybe better saved for a meeting unto its own rather than trying to hurry it in before we were gonna try to start the regular meeting.
I think we can do it at a special meeting. However, my only comment, and maybe everyone agrees, and if they do, then we don't need to dive into it, is that if there are things that we feel are particularly more important than others, we just need to do a much better job of specifically listing those items. And we've also learned that if we don't reference a plan set, nothing's approved.
All right.
If I could just, as a footnote to that whole meeting with Rich and everything. And Todd, you seemed a little like, we'd have to do this on every single application. I mean, I think you guys know the applications that are minimal and you're aware of what's gonna happen to them. And then I think you may come across applications where you're saying to yourself, I gotta look at this a little closer. I gotta dig into the details on this and really pay attention to this. And I think in a full circle way, that's kind of what Rich was saying. I don't think he is expecting you to take all of the typical applications that we get for like line sets and condensers and those kinds of things, and just pick them apart to death and make sure that your motions are clear and concise. I mean, you always want your motions to be clear and concise, but I just think that there are probably more, you're going to have applications presented where, for lack of a better term, you probably got to put your radar up and figure out what your approach is to them and make sure that you're looking at them careful in detail and that your approach is careful in detail.
I also get the sense that it seems to be the concern from the commission is, yes, there are specific examples of where someone comes in and just has a terrible presentation where we can't figure out what's actually going on.
And that falls on you guys.
Yeah, but I think the second piece is particularly more if we want to worry about the I guess the character of Mystic is in general, I think maybe more focus needs to be on the commercial applications.
That's,
Just considering
that's something you guys can discuss as well.
the impact is higher
Mhm.
than someone on a side road somewhere.
That's
Yeah,
a valid point.
Very good.
So,
Yep, I agree.
then moving on. Unless someone completely objects, but any new business?
Yeah, we're supposed to have an election.
We
Or
can do
elect
that.
our officers at the first meeting of every year. I have a motion to that effect if you want to entertain it.
This will be the earliest that it has ever been done, as far as I've been around.
You're really jumping the gun, Ted.
I'm just trying to get you guys back in line with our, protocols, so.
Sure.
I would move that Eric continues as chairman, that Brady continues as, I should use first names or last names consistently, so. Mr. Brady continues as
Mr. Brady,
secretary.
sir.
No one calls me Mr. Brady.
Esquire.
And Mr.
Esquire.
Mr. Ferguson be the vice chairman.
And you're still secretary?
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody, you guys are the same and Bill's the vice chair.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Brady, I.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, I
Great.
set a record. I don't think they'll have a hard time beating that one.
They'll
So I
not
think
beat
we'll ever
that
have
one.
a January
And I'll pay
1st meeting.
the total logic in it. They're the only three seated members.
Yeah, there's some logic there.
On that note, though, I think it's really important that it just go on the record that we have a really good group. It would be great if we had some more people that were interested in doing it, but we do have a good group and we have 2 alternate members that at this point should become regular members. So I hope that as I've made the recommendation again, that both of you be sat as regular members by the town council, that they follow through with that and seat both of you as regular members.
I second that, and I also, it's my understanding that there's at least one other applicant. Someone who did apply, and they'd be just sitting.
That I wasn't aware of, but recently going through the handbook and looking, or my book that they gave me, there is an application for commissions. And as of the first of the year, it was going to be my goal to try to recruit somebody, see if there's public interest in it, somehow start a campaign or do whatever we have to do to see if we can get somebody to assist as needed.
So you're gonna do the same thing that everyone before you has done and failed.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna succeed.
You guys know one of
It's tough. It's.
You know, and I
mean,
didn't talk to Max. Well, I talked to him at the party, but. I don't know what his intent is, because he hasn't been to a meeting. And you ever met Max?
No, I think he didn't, I believe he submitted a resignation, didn't
Oh,
he?
he did?
I thought
No.
so. Oh, I thought I had heard that he had.
No, so Max came on as an alternate and then had 2 babies.
Okay,
So now he would cut, what he's told me is that he'll come back if needed, but
yeah,
he doesn't want to pop in for a meeting and then not,
sit as an alternate.
yeah, and
yeah.
then suddenly
That's understandable.
not whatever. So he said he has no problem staying on until the seat can be filled or until we actually need him. In the event that there was a scenario where, 2 of you or 3 of you were absent, we really need to get something through. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. I think like any of the boards and commissions, it's just tough to get people to commit their
It's
time.
everywhere. It's all of them. It's.
Yeah.
It is a commitment that you don't get paid for. It's thankless.
We're not getting paid.
Yeah, nothing.
No, you get paid every 5 years, just held in arrears. So.
Yeah, exactly.
With 10% interest.
Oh, I hope.
Here it's in Paca. She's been before us 3 times. She lives on 50 West Mystic Avenue. She's applied.
She applied, yeah, but I
So,
took
I
the
don't know if there are
stand,
any other applications out there.
as far as I'm aware, no, I took the stance with Betsy, though, the town council needs to figure out what they want to do with the 2 of you.
Sure. I understand.
Because I just don't,
Right, because it's a progression generally, right?
and like I said before, I don't always agree with what you say, and I don't always agree with what you say. And there are times I agree with what you say, and I really don't agree with what you say, and vice versa. But I think it's a good thing.
I agree.
think It's,
Yeah, I understand.
I think it's fair to be divided, and I think it's fair, but I think we've gotten a lot better in the last year. Not that we ever had a real problem, but I think we've gotten better at being able to talk through things. you know, in a healthy dialogue. And I think that's a good thing for people to challenge things in both ways and ask questions.
What I think is spirited as an IR, we have mutual respect for each other too. We might get a little passionate, but that's. Yeah.
Not
So-
to change the subject, but Sue just straightened me out. It was Don Levinson that resigned.
He resigned, yeah.
Right,
My
yeah.
apologies.
Yeah.
He was on this
Right.
for 10 years.
He was on for quite a while.
Yeah, sure.
So anyways, I hope that they take that up and they take my recommendation again. So anyways, enforcement.
So the good news is enforcement actions are kind of limited at this point. 8 Pearl Street, I think Rich kind of briefed
Yeah.
you guys in on that. The current property manager or owner said, had no idea, fence is coming down.
Okay.
Have no intention of replacing the fence, have no intention of any further than taking it down, and that's the end of that. 92 High Street, owner responded to a letter and will submit an application for COA. I don't know what that is. That was something Tom was working on.
I think that's that fence at the top of High Street and Route 1. That they replaced the wood fence, the vinyl fence.
Okay. All right. 105 River Road. That was the application that we heard tonight for the fireplace. 119 River Road is the other application. That's next door to that. That's the one that got continued.
You're vice versa, but that's fine.
Oh, was it the other way around?
Doesn't matter.
119 was the firebox.
Right.
Okay.
What was the
yeah,
other,
okay.
what was the other one?
Windows.
Windows, they're doing some window work. And it's my understanding that they wanted that continued because they think they might add something to the scope of the project.
On theirs too, did they get a building
There was
permit?
no building permit for that at all.
Okay, so they just,
And they said they'll stop there. Until they get all their approvals. 15 Elm Street, you know what's happened with that. I have, you guys approved a COA on 6/9/22 for 158 High Street. There's like an accessory dwelling unit in the rear of the building. Peter drew the plans for it. They were looking, are finishing up the last details, and Mason is redoing the sidewalk, et cetera. They're looking for a certificate of occupancy, so I went out, I did my typical building code, and then I took the plans that were submitted and approved to kind of review them in the field for compliance. And 2 items that I came up with are on the back of the building, there's a condenser that wasn't originally on the plan. And as you're walking down High Street, there's a garage and you're looking at the end of that unit, you look down the back of that.
is it the house like this? I'm sorry, and the other things in the
Yeah,
back like
yep.
that? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
A single.
It had the one that had the, like the peak weird.
Yeah.
window.
Yeah.
But she came back and changed that.
I don't know. man.
So anyway,
there's one
so you can
hard
see
to
the
see.
condenser down the back of the alley. So I said, you know, if we had known that condenser was gonna be there, they might have looked at it. They said, no problem. What do you want us to do? I said, some maybe, you know, potentially some kind of screening. So they did some kind of like just like 3 picket rack kind of thing there to kind of block it. So you're looking at just like a small little blind down there. Which it's almost like it's pretty far off the road and pretty far down the alley. So
Just, can you get a picture of it? We'll just.
yeah, I could probably get a picture of it.
I was confused about what there's 2 on High Street that we've talked about. One is a house that Haling's brought. Is that a Haling house? That's,
I don't
it's
think-
hard to even see from the street.
This one is
And
hard
the
to
other
see
one's
from the street.
between
and the-
2, it's one they changed from stone to
cedar,
something else.
yeah.
I don't think they started on that
Yeah,
one.
that-
No, it's not that one. Not the
Yeah,
one
okay,
that
this is
Hawkins
the other
is
one.
This is the one that's in the
Yeah,
back.
hard to
It's
see.
hard to see because there's like a natural siding garage that probably blocks most of the
Right,
view of
right.
that
I know what you're
building
talking about.
from High Street.
Just bring a picture, and if it's something that we can just administrate it.
Okay. And then the other thing with that was, if you look at the front of that building, they put like a deck up top with a set of stairs that come
Yeah,
down, and that was all built, the rails and everything are matched right to it. But on the landing area where you would approach the stairs on the upper level, there's 4 posts, and they enclosed those 4 posts with like a really nice polyurethane mahogany. And you can see it from, is it Bank down below?
But you can't tell from down.
You can't really tell what it is. And I asked what it was, and they said that they are gonna Airbnb it, and they, alongside of that, there's a stone place for a gas grill. And they want to be able to store the gas grill and put a lock on it if they don't want whoever's renting it using the gas grill. So they're gonna use it to store the gas grill, shovels, etc.
Just get a picture.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal. They did agree that if you wanted Peter to draft up a sketch, they would do that.
Start with the picture.
Couple pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one that I am waiting for to do a certificate of occupancy on, which I was going to present at the 19th meeting. So you want me to just send it to you, or you gotta wait another 2 weeks, or how do you want to handle it?
Yeah, just, I'd wait 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I'll do that. They haven't pushed anything, and I did tell them that I'm not gonna hold up the occupancy, but I'm going to hold up issuing the certificate of occupancy, which I'm allowed to do.
Yeah, I would just,
Yeah.
the next meeting, we could just take a look.
Okay. And then 54 West Main. We've done a bunch of work on that. Obviously, we're spending some time between me and Tom and Sue and the attorney. And last week, fortunately, it was kind of slow. And I kind of dove into the files of that a little bit. And I came up with kind of a chronological timeline of when things transpired through this application that, like I was saying earlier, probably define the disconnect a little bit. So I'm gonna run through this with you a little bit, so you guys might be able to get a picture of where we're at with it. So their original application came to you guys on 9/2/20. That was the application to convert the restaurant or convert the bank into the restaurant, the patios, etc. You guys did a conditional approval on 9/15. And the conditions that you assigned to it were the sign affix method to the building. You didn't agree with, you didn't want brackets, and you didn't approve the rear handicap ramp. That was on the certificate, that was on the COA that was signed and certified by Peter. The submitted info in that particular application, the plan, shows a 24-inch fence. That detail that you showed me at one point that showed to be 36 inches, on the original application was 24 inches.
Where'd that come from?
That was the original application. On the original application, the fence was 24 inches. And the COA was issued on 9/24/20 with the conditions outlined in you guys' approvals, the sign hanging method and the handicap ramp not being approved. That was, COA was issued on 9/24/20. On 9/22/20, the applicant went in front of the zoning board for a site plan approval. They went through the whole process for a site plan approval. There was a number of conditions that the zoning board put on the application for approval.
Wait, I'm sorry, you said it was approved on 9/24?
The COA was issued on 9/24.
Okay, so it must have been approved at that.
It was approved on 9/15.
Okay.
The 9/22 meeting, the zoning meeting. The zoning board approved it with a number of conditions. Parking, one of their parking things, etc. And one of the defined conditions was the fence had to be raised to 3 feet. That was on 9/22. On 10/6. The engineers came back to the planning department with a revised plan. Adhering to all of the conditions that the zoning board put on it, including changing the dimension of 2 feet to 3 feet on the fence. And the zoning board took that in and received and stamped it as on 10/6/20. Subsequently, on 1/28/21, the applicant came back to you guys for a modification of his original application. The modification of his original application was only for exterior ductwork, intake, and exhaust air and the cook hood, specific on his application. You guys approved that on 2/16 as submitted. On 2/22, the COA was issued with no conditions noted. So I think that's where the 3 feet.
Because
Back up
what,
a
because
step.
we
The
were,
zoning-
as far as we were concerned, we were voting on some exterior ductwork and a cooktop.
That's,
But the plan that was submitted showed the fence at 3 feet.
yep, because they had adjusted it to meet the requirements of the zoning board.
And that right there is where the,
And that's where I thought it was, I
But
didn't
they
get a
would have
license for
had
some
to
reason,
come
zoning.
back to us.
What's that?
They would have had to come back to us.
They should have come back to you. They should have come back to you at that point.
So is it fair to say that fence is not approved by the HDC at this point?
Well, it was in the 216 application.
See,
It's
this
in
is
the-
where you get into
It's in
this
the
issue
package
of,
they submitted.
if
it
the
was
plans
changed to
were
3
part,
feet.
the plans were part of the submission,
Right,
then
and they were.
in essence, you,
Yeah, but we didn't.
you approved it, but it wasn't pointed out or discussed.
But
Yeah,
what I'm
no.
gonna say from Rich, if we didn't say approved per the plans, then it's not
But
approved. Am I correct in
the
that? Tim?
zoning approval can't be given without the HTC.
Right.
So
So there's a problem. And at this point,
The fence shows up in the video, though. They talk about it for a second. And somebody says, what's this? And he goes, that's a 3-foot fence.
According to Rich, if it's not
On
delineated on the
216, I know,
paperwork.
but
right, right.
I've watched all the videos, so.
well,
If
I
there's a
can't say
discussion.
we never would have approved a 2-foot fence, but we never.
When we looked at it, it was a at 216, that meeting, it was a 3-foot fence in front of us.
Yeah, I don't consider a 2-foot fence. I consider it like a garden. I don't. think
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
fence, you know.
It's on the drawing and it's articulated as 3 feet, right? I mean, that just backing up what you said. And it doesn't get talked about long in the presentation, in the video recording of the meeting, but somebody says, and then here's the fence. Somebody says, what's that? That's the fence. Okay, and that was it.
So it was mentioned.
It was mentioned. But
It was
not. they
mentioned
didn't
in
say this is
discussion,
part of
but
the package
never
or
in
not
an
part of the package.
action, right?
I mean, it was
Yeah.
mentioned with enough vagueness that you can't say anything about it,
Yeah.
really. The focus was really around other topics.
So to summarize this,
But I think.
a communication has been initiated and a conversation is
I think the
happening
thing
right
that
now with.
the HTC's always wanted though is just delineated 3. I don't think anyone cares what the style is. I think they just want a normal aluminum or wrought iron fence. That's what.
I'm just gonna follow up with, communication has been initiated and that we are in communication at this point. I don't want to give a status or anything, but, a communication has been initiated.
Well, then
What are we asking for? Just for them to show us what?
I was just gonna ask.
I think he's saying they're just talking right now to let us know
Okay.
we can share more, right?
What do you
Alright.
all want him to do? Cause now you gotta, there's enough of a problem that I mean, is it the determination of the commission that we want it to be adjusted to a 3-foot and we want to approve the details and let him take our suggestion or our choice and go forward with it? Or do we want to just wait?
What's the existing
Well-
height of the fence now?
It was described to me as 30 inches.
That's what's there now.
Yeah.
Didn't you measure that fence recently, Ted?
I did.
How tall was it?
18.
I never measured it, but it was described.
I
to me
went
as
out there, I
30.
trusted little tape measure and measured it.
Ted measured it.
And I wrote down the measurements on a piece of paper. And like all fence work, it varies.
It
depending on
varies,
what you
depending
measure.
Right, I mean, the thing goes like this, yeah.
And it's 33 inches at its highest point,
Okay, so 30 inches is probably,
and it's mostly 29 inches.
yeah, okay.
But on the plan, it's shown as 36 inches.
Correct.
And a
Well,
different
it's
style,
shown as
correct?
3 feet on the plan.
And style wise,
different
It
style.
is a difference.
And the plan with the style they put in is what is on the drawings as well.
it is.
It is.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It looks just like, there's a sketch of what it looks like, and that's what it looks like on the plan.
Yeah, I would agree with that, that it's very, it might not be like the exact, but it's very,
Yeah,
very
'cause that's
similar
what I
in
thought,
style
'cause
with
we
the.
talked about that.
with the
and I thought it
finials
did look
and-
like it
and
was the
such,
same,
yeah.
'cause I was,
It's pretty rickety and stuff, and it's, but it's pretty close. I think the issue is I mean, we're not supposed to talk strategy, but either we say we never approved a fence and now come in and show us the fence. Or we say we approved the fence, which I think we should do if we're gonna pursue them at all. Because the other option is to say, we approved that fence, but it's 3 inches shy.
But we never approved that fence. That's what he said. So I think.
Well, it depends, because why I'm saying that, John, is that it was in the package.
But we didn't approve the plans. So.
We did, though.
No,
Well,
hang
we
on,
thought we
hang on,
did.
let me finish. I'm listening to what, and if I'm wrong, correct me, what Rich said and what Tim said.
Yeah,
If the COA did not say approved per plans, which my understanding it does not, am I correct?
right. No, I get it.
Right.
then.
don't
it's-
agree with that
interpretation.
We can do it either way. I'm not saying we're.
Well, I think we just stick with the facts. The facts are the way to go. And if it's not approved, it's not approved.
Yeah, but I mean, I
But-
don't think we've got any plans that were necessarily
never done that
specifically
before,
said it
so
was
it's-
approved
it was
for the-
certainly-
so we haven't approved anybody's plans.
Right, so to be
That's why I think it's-
inconsistent with our practice.
I don't agree with
that.
Cody's interpretation that if you don't say approved per the plans, that it's not approved. I don't agree with that.
Well, I'm personally with you. I'm just saying if we're gonna go with the town, suppose the town attorney's permit.
I think you have
opinion.
to, I think you have to take what he said as what the rule is, whether we agree with it or not, for the time being. We have to look at it as that being correct, whether we agree with it or not. So
There's like two positions. There's the board position as to what you guys were thinking. And then his position as to if I have to present this in court, it needs to be a certain way. And if I could just recommend. Just sit on your hands for a bit on this and give me some time on it. I would ask the board to do that.
Can I? Relating to the timeline, but not specifically to the 54 West Main Street.
Okay.
So in the timeline. Zoning said that you need a 36 or whatever,
Correct.
and we supposedly had approved a 20-inch or 24-inch.
That's in question as to whether or not you guys have had ever approved anything.
Any
But
fence,
yeah,
okay.
right.
So I just want, I want to focus on moving forward.
Yep.
And I want to focus on preventing the same mistakes from happening again.
Mhm.
And my question is, if zoning does something like that, there's got to be some trigger alarm that says, "Doo-doo-doo, this is not what HTC had in front of them."
I agree.
Okay.
I would hope that it could be caught
Okay.
prior to permit issuance or us catching it in the field, like where we just caught it now.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that
Okay.
because I don't,
Who the hell's
I
gonna
don't-
be perusing through the zoning approvals? to
I
make
don't,
sure they-
right, I don't go
I know.
through all the zoning approvals. It's.
I think you ought to take that job on since you. took it.
And again,
but
I second that. Can we make a motion?
That's the root of the disconnect.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
all I'm. saying
is.
that That's the root of the disconnect.
Right.
so maybe
And
just.
it's not, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody.
Well, I'm pointing fingers at you and saying you ought to
Okay,
undertake to
Do you?
do that.
are
Yeah, I
you with
agree.
me?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I agree. And I wish I could say, yeah, from now on, this application is gonna come first and that application. But in a perfect world, it doesn't always work like that. There's
just
the
so
middle
we-
timelines, even if things get submitted at a certain point, they might not open their public hearing and, there could be,
What about-
calendar overlaps.
What
And
about just a friendly reminder to staff that that the staff that do the zoning commission, that in the event something changes in the historic district, they should just.
Send a note.
Right.
But you still gotta pick it out.
And things we get things picked up all the time. There's like that gas station going on right down. There's a bunch of changes going on in there right now that got picked up in review on my end that I'm sending them back to planning to do a site plan modification. So it does happen. It does happen. Like I was telling Ted, can I guarantee that we're gonna catch all of them or there's not gonna be like a one-off somewhere? No, I'm not perfect. I can't guarantee that for you. But we'll do our best. We are looking at things closely and we'll do our best.
Just a friendly reminder that if they see something, maybe
Mhm.
be a little more proactive.
You see something, say something, right? Like the subways in New York.
Is it the subways?
I think it's everywhere.
You want to-
Yeah.
Is that after 9/11 or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, actually, I think that was like Connecticut that did that, like, when there was a backpack on the bus or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You see something, say something.
But, so I think that's all I have as far as, any enforcement updates.
I think I am gone next week,
Next week or the 2 weeks?
or the 2 weeks. I think you're on your own. Good luck.
Well, I'm not around next week, but I'll be back on Tuesday.
So, but we do
That
have
means
to get back to
He's
the
the
handbook.
chair when you're gone?
Actually, you're supposed to elect.
He's a chair.
Any member can call it to order. And.
You're supposed to elect the chairperson.
And then you're supposed to elect the chairperson. Typically, it is the vice chair. But yeah,
Oh, he's vice chair, I'm not showing up.
any member can call it to order. And that's your
Me
first,
neither.
that should be your first action is to name the chairman, call a chairman.
I think we should just do it on the 6th of February. Hey, let's just try to finish it quick.
The handbook that we're talking. Yep.
I think we just do the end of it. And then we can put it out to public comment if anyone is gonna care. And then we can get that wrapped up. So we'll do a special meeting on the 6th.
Okay. February sixth?
Yeah.
And you want to do it for
Handbook.
for update, handbook update?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll have your discussion that you,
Hopefully I'll have more information for you by then. Or actually, no, I probably not on an enforcement action. I won't address that under the special meeting, but is that a regular meeting as well?
Yeah.
So are we just doing a regular meeting 2 weeks from now in
Yeah.
your absence? Okay, I'll see what I have as far as an update in enforcement at that point. And then the special meeting that you're talking about on the 6th, you guys want to do both? You want to look at the handbook and have a discussion about motions, et cetera, or no?
I think we just need to sit on it for a little bit. I think that the information that was provided was helpful. And
Okay.
it explained a little more, and I think it's gonna cause. Again, just using both sides of the thing here, it's gonna cause people to be more particular when they wanna be more particular.
When
and
you need
not
to
when
be,
they're
I
not.
think,
So,
yeah.
like, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
But I think we just need to be conscious and careful of the, just of situations that don't, so that they don't end up like this one.
Mhm.
I mean, cause that timeline's even more complicated than what I ever thought of. I don't remember any of that.
Well, I think Tim brought up a good point. I mean, I think we've all been around the block enough to have our radar go up when something just doesn't feel right. I think that's just the thing we have to be thoughtful of.
So, and I don't want to drag this out and keep you guys here, but I get permits in that say re-roof. And I go, no. I want to know what you're doing, it's not. How many layers, what do you got going on? Are you sheathing? What's happening with it? Because if you just say re-roof, that could mean anything from stripping the roof all the way down to the boards, putting plywood down, which then triggers seam tape and a bunch of other things. Or it could be re-roof. You're putting a go over on an existing roof. And I need those details. So, and when I see something that is what I feel is not complete, or it throws up whatever it is, that little bell over your head or the little cloud over your head that says, I need to look at this further, I need to look at it further in detail. I just think the board, there's probably going to be some applications from time to time. That's what you want your approach to be.
That, and I also think that. As you probably operate in the same way, if you have people that do things consistently well, you
Yep.
handle it slightly different than you do if you have people that come in and do it
100%.
poorly.
100%. I have applications that come through, I see the name, I see what they're doing, I see the description, I've seen them 40 times.
Yeah.
And I have no concern about what they're doing. I could probably check up on them at any time, and they're operating within the scope of what they applied for. Is it everybody? Nope. And it's up to me to sort through that.
Like I said, I thought they were valuable answers. I didn't think it was worth having a dialogue back and forth of the questions, because I just didn't think it. I think he needed to answer them. I didn't think that banter was necessary. Anyone else? Adjourn.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.